And apparently we're live. Welcome back to the Dating Coach panel. Today we have a powerful pair that I have been meaning to get together for a while. We have Russ Jeffries gaming since the 1980s and Beckster gaming since the 1990s. One is the king of the Jews and one is the king of the gingers.
I'm the ginger hitch glitch.
I don't know about King of the Jews, but you can call me Shri Shri Guruji Maharaj Ross Jeffries Parantap. That means revered, beloved guru, great king, destroyer of ignorance.
Damn, that's a
That's
good way to learn a language. Just like think of
that
things that
stands for
describe.
it. Beckster, it's so good to see you. You're looking amazing. It's been
Thank
like
you.
4 years since I saw you in London, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, it's great to see you as well. I'm
And I
glad we're still
remember when I first
catching up.
met you. I remember when I first met you. You were a young, eager man. I remember, I remember, and you brought me that wonderful sacrifice, Charlotte the succubus.
And the Swedish girl, yes.
Yeah, the Swedish girl. She was beauty. She was a beauty.
I always had to bring extra. I couldn't just bring the girl that I was with at the time. I always had to bring extra because, you have the powers to get them out the audience, and you've done that on many occasions. So I've been witness to it. I've been witness to it. Apart, and also when we go out as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, I'll just get through this a little bit here. Drop a super chat to ask a question, $5 USD or more, increasing as we go on. This is a great opportunity to ask some questions in the super chats. NLP, lots of good stuff we're gonna go through. Where are you guys joining us from?
I'm in San Diego,
And I'm in London, England.
and I had the pleasure of hanging out with Eric Mystery when he came to visit. He was quite a personable, charming, down-to-earth, real fellow. I really quite enjoyed him.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he told me as well. He said he had a great time because he was
Speaking
living
of
in San Diego for a while as well.
Speaking of which, first question I gotta ask this. What's something you admire about each other's game?
You mean Baxter's game or Mystery's game, or what do you mean?
Beckster and you.
Well, here's what I admire about Robert. Robert is not ideological. He'll take on whatever he thinks will work. He'll go on and practice it. He's like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee didn't just take one system. He took whatever worked and threw away the rest. He's managed to find out how to combine what I do and what Mystery does and to come up with his own style. I greatly admire that. Anyone who refuses to say, no, no, this is the only way to do things, but will say, let's see, let's experiment in the world and let my bold and joyous experiments in the world show me what works. And then from that, let me spread that. I can't be content to only have this for myself. I need to spread it out. And also, I admire the fact that I think, this is just me, Beckster, I think you saved Eric's life. I think Eric was in a very dark place and that he would not be teaching and maybe even not be alive if it weren't for you. So you saved a treasure. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be part of the company where I have a voice, part of the community where I have a voice. So, I think now Ross, I know you've been doing taking on this extra issue for a while, and what I like is, well, I think what we're doing here, certain guys in this community, is also helping people's mental health. So we're helping people and we're giving them hope as well, a way out of this lonely male epidemic. But things that I admire in your game, and it was the first stuff I ever heard when I was like 19 in 1996. And I had the cassette tapes.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, someone had lent me a cassette tape and they go, listen to this. So you seem like eager to talk to people all the time. And but they knew, they were learning from your stuff, and they had the book as well.
Oh my
Your
God.
your first book,
I
yeah,
have it
which I have
somewhere here.
somewhere here.
I have
Yeah.
it somewhere here.
And yeah, the intricate patterns, it's embedded in me, and NLP now is embedded in me. And I feel so grateful to have learnt both them things in my life, speed seduction and NLP. And obviously meeting you bringing me on stage, me getting used to a huge audience. Because I was used to a smallish audience, you know, maybe the maximum 30. But when you go to Ross's events, they were huge. And we were doing that in London. A lot of times we catch up at least once a year nearly,
Uh,
and sometimes in America we'd catch up. So yeah, I think if without that, who knows where I would have been. I'd been in a failed relationship somewhere in the future, not doing this. So thank you.
you're so welcome.
Oh my God, it glitched out on me there. I couldn't even click. Okay, I'm back.
A
Technical
glitch in the
difficulties.
matrix.
God damn it. A guy is asking what he can say to his wingman to convince him to learn NLP. He has learned direct game, indirect game, but is hesitant in learning NLP. So what's your advice for guys who have no idea what NLP is or where to start? Like, are there some little things to get
Yeah,
people into it?
yeah, yeah. Here's what I'll say. Couple things. First is, what is NLP? Well, there's an old joke. Being Jewish, I can tell the joke. If you ask two rabbis a question, you get 50 opinions. For me, the most useful part of NLP is the idea that language influences emotions. That rather than think about the behaviors that you want women to do, like give a number, which is useless. I don't know why you'd want that necessarily, or suck your dick or get into a threesome. Actions, behaviors, decisions come from emotions. So, how can you use your words, how you speak, to create emotional states through which women will naturally want to give you those behaviors? And if they're reluctant to do it, I'll ask them, is it because it feels unfamiliar to you? Is that the problem? Well, if you're letting your desire to be comfortable at first design your life, then you'll never live a big life. To live a big life, you have to change how you understand things, which I just covered. And then you have to be willing to step out and take risks. People who are willing to take risks are very attractive because 99% of the people in the world have a very weak frame and they want to guarantee your ability to radiate self acceptance, radical self acceptance, even when you trip over your own dick, is incredibly attractive because women lack self acceptance. Beckster, you've been with so many beautiful women. How many of them really have high self-esteem and think that they have no flaws?
Oh, it's like nearly, it's like finding a unicorn.
Yeah. So when you can walk through the world with radical self-acceptance, give yourself permission to trip over your own dick, that's a form of confidence that speed seduction can help you find. So, and learning NLP as it applies to speed seduction. That's what I would say if you're reluctant to do it. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable at first, redefine what it means to feel comfortable. Look, the worst that could happen is you stay where you are. And so you've lost nothing, but you've learned to trust yourself stepping into unfamiliar ways of thinking and feeling and behaving, which is a win no matter what.
Very interesting. Any other comments on this?
Well, I think NLP is in everything. You know, you can use it in everything to become better. It's an enhancer, you know, the operating system of your mind, the operating system of emotions. I use it in a lot of my routines, a lot of my. You could call what I call them super routines because, like Ross said, it's a mixture of like pickup and speed seduction. So I call it a super routine because it's like a pattern, but it's also a gambit, a routine. So yeah, I think I remember you asked me, Ross, you were like, well, how much do you think gestures help in pickup? And I was like, at least 30% more, you know, anchoring and so on. So I think it's super important and it makes you and this game more interesting.
You know what? I actually had a question on anchoring. Could you explain what anchoring is and how guys could implement that?
It's stimulus response. I'll give you, this is a crude example and a gross oversimplification, but I think everyone is familiar with Pavlov's dogs. That Pavlov, who is a Russian guy, would every time he would give the dogs food, he would ring a bell. And so after a while, he took the food away when ring a bell, and the dogs would still salivate like the food was in front of them. It's just simply creating a response and then connecting it to something, either a touch or a head tilt or a certain tone of voice, a bite of the lip. What's even more advanced is imitating a woman's own anchors. You ever watch a woman, you ever say to a woman, so what is it that you found so attractive in your last boyfriend? And they go, oh, well, he was just that. Oh, that's a self-anchor. That anchor is what triggers her mind, all the sexual stuff she experienced with him. So later on, if I'm talking to her, I can go, you know, I'm just having the best time with you. Oh, it's like I feel this amazing connection where Beckster is smiling because he gets it. So the most powerful anchors are her own, stealing her own anchors.
Interesting. It's like just to rationalize this for the guys watching, conditioning someone to make associations,
Yeah.
positive associations
Yes.
towards
And
yourself.
and yes, and I don't like to pay for, as Patton said, I don't like to pay for the same piece of real estate twice. So if you get her in that wonderful state, why not anchor it? So anytime you want her back in it, you can just fire off the anchor.
Alrighty. Any other comments on this?
No, I think that nailed it.
Perfect. What's your process for installing new beliefs using NLP on yourself or others?
There's a lot of NLP questions. I mean, I always one thing I do in field is when I'm chatting to a girl or a group, I'll be pointing to myself on the good attributes. So, is it better to be wanted or needed by somebody? It's a two-part question. Attraction. I'm speeding up the routine here, but just to show you, attraction or desire, and I let her feel that desire. What do you think's more powerful? And so I feel like I'm playing with the comfort zones, the area, the aura of it. As I'm saying them words, I might even touch as well. I might even keynote with it to emphasize and anchor.
What was your question? Repeat the question, Ice.
What's your process for installing new beliefs using NLP on yourself or others?
As far as installing it in myself, I don't want to immediately go from, I don't like the words negative or positive. I like optimum or suboptimum. So I don't want to take a suboptimum belief, like I'm just not attractive enough for hot women, and immediately change it to, I know I can get hot women. And the reason for that is I have so many repetitions over the years in my unconscious mind of that suboptimum belief that there's just going to be a civil war and it's not going to work. So instead, I prefer to use language like, I now open myself to the possibility that I am becoming more and more attractive to women. That's possibility language. So I go from suboptimum to possibility. That's an important and powerful distinction. And again, we see yet another example of how language can structure our consciousness, our beliefs, and from there, the decisions and actions that we take.
That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. You told me similar things before, and now I'm thinking about it in terms of what people use for excuses. So, for example, black pill, they say it's impossible. They use these various words to say, I can't, it's not possible. So now I'm realizing even more that makes so much sense how those guys are kind of shooting themselves in the foot before they even start. Just by
What they're doing is they're seeing their possibility through the pain of their past. And rather than creating I would rather create a clean slate and just let my experiments in the world show me what's possible. If you want to live, I can't give you a guarantee to living a big life, but one of the things I can say is if you want to lead a big life, a life you celebrate, not tolerate, one of the keys is rather than letting your internal dialogue saying, I can't do this, or let your bold experiments in the world done with precision, done with repetition, done with joy, done with a sense of, let's see what will happen, like a kid splashing in the mud. If you can take on that attitude and take that on over time with multiple repetitions and keeping track of your little wins, that's far more important than saying, well, it's impossible or I'm not a Chad. And these are guys who are getting together, making excuses because they're just ultimately don't see a way out, or they see a way out and they're afraid that they'll just fail. And sometimes the most limiting belief of all is, well, what if this works for everyone, but I still fail at it? Then I'm really a loser. So I may as well not even try because I don't want to feel terrible about myself when they already do. They're stuck in a terrible shit matrix.
Mm. And another layer on top of that, since there are so many online communities these days, like I didn't really see this as a thing before the internet really got big, but now there are like black pill communities, MGTOW, MGTOW, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And they just, it's an echo chamber. I don't really need to say more, but they just confirm with each other it must be true. And then they can't escape that because they have to escape their own beliefs first.
And they have to go against the little culture that they've formed and get booted out.
Hmm. I got a similar question off of this, which seems kind of relevant. For Russ specifically, how can I hypnotize myself to stick to all my habits every day? For example, I come home tired and sleepy from work, and I have no desire or energy to lift weights.
This is a very good one. I learned something. Yesterday, I did not want to go to the gym. It was about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that translates into Celsius. It was a Sunday, it was Father's Day. And I thought, I don't want to do this. Good, I'm going to go do it. I've now trained. I have to tell you, one of the people who's made the most difference in my life, among Richard Bandler and some other people, is my trainer, Katie. Katie taught me mental toughness. She showed me that if I was mentally tough, my body could do things I never expected that I could ever do. Oh, here's my kitty. Honey, you want to show your face? So, developing mental toughness is you do things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. And over time, it becomes fun. My meditation practice is so important to me. But when I was getting back into it for the first 5 to 6 weeks, I had to just make a commitment to go do it. Now I don't do well without it. I can't imagine not doing it. So sometimes it just takes doing it, even if you don't want to do it, especially when you don't want to do it. That's the signal to do it. I don't think it's about hypnosis. Not in my case. Hypnosis can be powerful and effective. One of the things I would encourage that person to do is look at how they're taking care of themselves. If they're exhausted, it's okay to rest. At my age, after I eat a big meal at noon, I take a nap for 30 minutes and I wouldn't get up if Scarlett Johansson and Margot Robbie knocked on the door and offered to do. Yeah, I would. I would definitely get up. If they offered to sit on my face, I would get up.
Fascinating. Uh, Alrighty, for both you guys, what advice can you give about redirecting confrontation into something productive? For example, we tend to respect people who are able to handle challenging questions, being interrupted, receiving remarks, or general negativity fired their way. In a man-to-woman scenario, negging can be seen as a lighter version of this, but what about the heavier kind of disagreeableness?
You on about like AMOGs, alpha male, other guy trying to come interrupt the group, or internal interrupt, external interrupt, man,
Not
woman,
it's pretty what do you call it? Uh I can't remember the word. A lot of ways this can go,
ambiguous.
but what
Yeah.
yeah, and vague, ambiguous, whatever.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I remember something Ross told me how he turned a situation of confrontation into positivity. It was when Ross was telling me about when he went out with a guy to teach him some game and he made a bad approach and a woman just went crazy and then Ross was able to reframe the entire interaction, make her cry in a positive way. and then became very empathetic, basically, and stopped the confrontation. So really, this is more about diffusing conflict and turning it into a positive outcome,
Yeah.
reframing, frame control.
Can I take this one first, Robert?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
There's a couple things involved here. First of all, when someone comes at me like that, I don't take it personally, meaning that person is in pain and they're responding to me from a place of pain. That doesn't mean I allow someone to assault me or get in my physical danger zone. To me, sometimes people are just responding because that's the way I've always responded. So in a personal relationship, I'll get curious. I'll say, "What did you mean when you just said that? I'm really curious. What was your intent? What are you trying to tell me?" And like I'll say, "All right, I hear you. I'm present for you. What is this really about? Tell me what's on your mind. I'll listen. Just tell me." And if they can't tell me, if they say, "Well, you should know," or "I don't want to talk about it," I'll say, "You're putting me in a bad position here. You want me to listen, but then you're telling me you don't want me to listen, and I don't stay in situations where I can't win, no matter what I do is wrong. So what would you like to do?" And I shut up. That's one way. The other way is to interrupt a pattern, is to not fight when they expect you to fight. Do a pattern interrupt. With that woman, she's expecting me to yell at her or to apologize or run away. I said, "Look at her. She's someone's sister. She's someone's daughter. She's someone's best friend. Somewhere she's deeply loved." And that really shocked her. She didn't know how to respond to that. So it's about, first of all, keeping your cool, keeping a non-reactive frame. And I haven't always been able to do it, but when I have, things have turned out better for me. And I think Beckster would agree. When you're non-reactive, that's another thing that's really attractive to women. When you hold your ground, I'm not saying to surrender to their bullshit, but or not to call them out. But when you're non-reactive, when you're calm, when you call them out and say, "Hey, never criticize me in front of other people." And you don't yell at them, you don't turn red in the face. That's super attractive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that as well. Don't react as much and pattern interrupt. So what I say is that Madonna over there? Everyone looks, and then I just snip and stack forward to my next whatever I'm going to talk about, my next subject, my next gambit, my next pattern. So they're interrupted by that.
That's
Distraction.
Yeah, just the misdirection. Everyone likes a bit of misdirection.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Another one is, if you want to go more hardcore, is you drop something and they look down. You say your manners. That's a good one.
I love that.
And then I stack forward as well. I don't give them time to process. So it's like, it's like in Street Fighter 2, when you daze someone, you have a moment to then carry on and move forward.
Correct. You create a window. The way I'd put it is, sorry, Beckster, you create a window of suggestibility through which you can guide people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if it was like a guy coming in as an interrupt, you can bring him in because you're already in a group of women, right? This is otherwise, why would he be coming in? He's coming in because he wants to feed off your buying temperature, bring up their buying temperature, for example, if you want to use that as a word, their attraction, interest in you. And guys see that and think either them girls are easy, or why do they like this girl? And then there's why do these girls like this guy? And there's envy. So there's a whole host of reasons. Maybe they were chatting to that girl earlier. They come in. I'm not then defensive. One, that looks terrible in front of the girls. So that's where the stoic part comes in. Next is I bring him in and I'll say, "Yeah, join me, come in." So he's confused now because I'm now like, you know, bringing him as a wingman or a brother, and I'm saying, hey, well, I was just about to show you something really cool, and I'll do something like the karate coin snatch, which is one of mysteries actually, where you just snatch the coin out the guy's hand. You don't do it out the girl's hand, but there's a technique to doing it, right? And you can get it out, and you say, look, if you can shut your hand on the coin in time, then you can keep it, and you beat me. But every time there's different ways of doing it. You can get that out of the guy's hand without violent communication, as it were. And he thinks, oh, you're bringing him in to chat. But really, all he's doing is blowing himself out because he's going to ask terrible questions. He's going to be needy. He's probably going to be leaning in. He's done failed attempts to amog you. So, yeah. So there's one for the women, one for the guys.
Us Jews would make sure we are using their coins,
Ah,
not our own.
Those joke. Exactly.
We don't gamble with our own money.
That's the way to win.
Well, next
All
time
right.
I'll say to him, have you got a coin on you? That will be the interrupt as they come in.
Working that every time you lose, you simply
You win a bit more.
You just I can't fucking speak today. I'm living in the Spanish Empire. Whatever. Fuck it. God damn it. Any
You mean you
comments on this?
don't fail, you learn.
You
Is that it?
decrease your losses simply by implementing small changes to win more.
Yeah.
In this
Refine
case,
it. Tweak
you win
and refine.
100% of the time by not losing your money. So there
Exactly.
you go. Genius. Anyway, any other comments on this?
And stay out of Tiger.
Oh, fuck that place.
Yeah.
God damn.
I remember
man.
that was the place you wanted to take me. And the minute the door opened, I heard the noise. I went, nah, I'm not going in there.
Back in the day, this is a very long time ago, that place was used to be good. It's like over 20 years ago. And we used to run events upstairs in there. They gave us a room to run events and then we'd just go out into the club. But don't ever go there. It's the worst place now. It's just a tourist
Oh my
trap.
God.
Robert, what is that, Beckster? What is that behind you? A punching bag? A heavy bag?
Yeah, it's a punching bag. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
just
nothing's
my little
suspicious.
part of my yeah. No bodies in it.
Body bag. I used to go to Tiger like as soon as I moved to London. It was like where people recommended to go, and every time I went there, I went wearing these weird shades, and women would steal them every fucking time. Not just women, but blondes. 100% of the time, or like 95% of the time, they were blonde, and it would just really annoy me. It would happen like 3 times in a night. I'll have to get security one time and whatever, but another time at that place, they didn't let me in because, they want women in there. And I was with this one random wing I got from the group. This was like back in 2017 or something. And he asked me, what's his name? And I was like, Chad. I don't know. He told me his name, but I never register people's names. And then they would fucking let me in. And then I just went to Zoo instead, if you remember that one.
Oh, actually, that is actually the worst one. You just went down.
And then I pulled from there like an hour later. So I was like, actually, it worked out. I thank you for turning me away. Anyway, got a question for Ross here. Why does Ross Jeffries reject the mystery methods concept of value and demonstrations of higher value?
There's a distinction between demonstrating higher value and delivering higher value. To me, and also higher value is measured by what, and can you really see it? Let me try to unpack this. There's a distinction between being entertaining, which is good, and being fascinating, which is good, and being confident, which is good. And this abstract idea of value, I happen to take on the idea that all human beings have inherent, innate, unprovable value. What is delivering high value? To me, high value is delivering the emotional states that women want to experience, feeling fascinated, feeling an incredible connection, feeling safe to do things that they would never do if their girlfriends could find out. That's delivering higher value, and also demonstrating higher value by telling stories about what you did is really not demonstrating higher value. They would have to actually observe you being a leader of men. They would actually have to observe you being someone who is a protector of children. They're not actually observing it. They're hearing you tell stories about it. So are you even really demonstrating higher value or just telling stories about it? Now, I get that being comfortable in a situation where every other man is not, or most men are not, and having a non-reactive frame and being charming and the rest of it is, in a sense, delivering value. But do you understand what I'm talking about? There's a distinction between demonstrating it somehow and delivering it.
Instant value and demonstrating value.
And even there, when you tell stories about all your adventures, I don't think you're really demonstrating it. You're demonstrating you're a good storyteller. You're just talking about it. The actual demonstration would be somewhere where they can actually observe you. I think Eric talks about being a leader of men and protector of loved ones, and I forget what else
Successful risk taker, willingness to
successful risk
emote,
taker. Yeah,
willingness to walk away.
willingness to walk away. You can demonstrate that by the way you behave in a club. I get those last two. But how do you really demonstrate that? Protector of loved ones, and I don't see how you do that. But again, my knowledge is limited, and I never say things are impossible. All I can say is based on my own knowledge and my own system and my own experience, I don't know how to do it, and it doesn't seem to be the most efficient way to me. That's all I can say. I never said it didn't work. Well, in the beginning I did, but that was based on my own insecurities and need to be obsessively competitive. But I'm sure there's some value in it. I 100% believe that Eric can do it. I've watched him. But you have to ask yourself, he's extremely charismatic. He's an extremely charismatic human being. He draws people. Could you pull it off if you didn't have that level of charisma? Beckster has a different kind of charisma. It's sort of a joy of life that's kind of quieter, but you have a joy of life and a love of people that's a form of charisma. And I don't know, you don't need that to do speed seduction. It certainly helps, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a good answer or not. It's my honest answer.
Interesting. What do
Yeah, I
you
mean,
think,
there's
Beckster?
I just think there's gambits for everything, and it's finding out what the gambit or pattern is, and then creating something from that. And but because I feel that I've been doing this my whole adulthood, and I've been doing it longer than I haven't been doing it, right? So my brain was a sponge at 19, and it doesn't really know any different. So it makes patterns and routines out of nearly everything unconsciously.
Yes, me too.
So yeah. So with that, there's always going to be for me, there's always a way out, there's always a gambit for it. So if I'm going to be saying proving that I'm with without telling a story that I'm protector of loved ones, because we do have stories, gambits for that, to show it, what I've done in the past is I've tapped my elbow and say, come on, I want to tell you something about yourself. I'll look after you. And then I'll say, and then I'll move to another, so guide her through, protecting her through the bar or the club. Obviously, I'm not doing this in a park. And then I'm locking in, and as I'm moving through, I say, no one dies on my watch. Just so you know, no one dies on my watch. Like that. And they laugh, and it's good that you laugh. It means you've got a sense of humor to go with your looks. But what else have you got going for you? And then I might go into qualification, but that's one little tick in the brain. Now, I'm not saying it's the strongest tick. I'm not saying we can't add more to that and we can't top it up with a story. But obviously, if you're going to be seeing there more and more, then you've got more opportunity to prove these things as well.
Robert, isn't that more demonstrating confidence than it is demonstrating protecting a loved one? I mean, you're not really protecting her from any genuine harm. You're
Well,
protecting.
there's subtleties as well. Like if someone's in the way, you quickly just put your hand on the small of her back, and you move her somewhere else of the
Good
room.
guide. That's being a good guide and a good leader. I'll also say something. I know you did an episode with Eric where he did not like my critique of his method at all. I'll also say, and this is tangential to your question, I think and this could be my prejudice, because being a hypnotist for 30 years, I'm trained to look at things as having hypnotic elements. I don't mean that you put someone to sleep and order them to do things against their command, but pattern interrupts. If you think about pattern interrupts, and this is based on my very limited knowledge of mystery method, very limited. I'm actually looking forward to the day where you can take me in field, Robert, and teach me. I really am. I'm not joking. I swear on my cats. I would love to see
Let's
it.
do it.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
That would be a great piece of footage that people would die to see. Don't you think, Ice?
I'll fucking come. San Diego. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
it.
I think for me and Eric, there'd be too big a class of egos. My ego, I'm not just saying about him. But when you interrupt patterns, that's a very hypnotic thing to do. It creates suggestibility. So correct me if I'm wrong, Beckster. One of the things that you do in mystery method is, rather than approach or open the most beautiful girl in the group, you either open with someone else or you open the group as a whole and don't give her the attention that she's used to getting from the average frustrated chump. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, if you're going strictly mystery method, you're going to be going down that route more. If you, what I'm doing is I live somewhere where I call semi-rect, semi-direct. So I'm not direct, I'm not indirect. I'm living in this world of, does he like me? Doesn't he like me? But he seems very, playful, cheeky. I'm not ashamed to, be a sexual being without being creepy or,
Right.
saying things that's going to put her off. So I don't find that happening to me in that way. So I'm going to be talking to him in a totally different mindset. So sometimes I'll go for the hottest girl in the room if I figuring out, okay, this is the best move I can do. Yeah, I'm gonna do this move. But sometimes I want to do, and this is very mystery method, the adjacent set. So you get that group or that girl really stimulated, laughing. They see the energy, the commotion going on. Then you merge the sets. So you say, "Hey guys, check this out. I'm going to show you a mini miracle," or whatever your merging gambit is. All right. Hey, we're just having a debate. We're just checking, whatever it is, and then merge the sets in, and now you're the, as it were, emperor of the group or the prize of the group,
I
and
get
it's
it.
easier then to get to the girl
Yeah,
that you find the most attractive,
I
because you're
get it.
not showing that much interest. I mean, there's a lot. I'm not saying then you can't focus on her more. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't live in indirect too much. I don't live in direct too much. I'm like somewhere in the middle. Be like water.
But oh, see, there's the Bruce Lee. By the way, I think this distinction between indirect and direct, I kind of get it, but in another sense, I don't. I think there's only effective game, what works. I think you can be direct if you're not attached to the outcome and if you can make them laugh. And I've done this with women who are 20, 30 years younger than I am. First, I give an innocuous compliment, like, love those Uggs. Where did you get those Uggs? And then the minute they answer, that's only designed to get initial eye contact. Then I'll say, well, I've got to ask, you don't work for the Department of Defense, do you? And when they look puzzled and they say no, I'll say, because your eyes are weapons of mass distraction. Now, that will get a laugh. And as soon as it does, I own it. I own that it's cheesy. You've got to own it. I'll say, okay, that was really cheesy. But as soon as I saw you, I thought, she just radiates that she cares deeply about other people, but she doesn't give a fuck about what other people think about her. Talk to her for a minute and see if she has a fun sense of humor. Now, what am I doing there? First of all, I'm going back and forth. I'm demonstrating that I've got balls, that I can laugh at myself, that I'm vulnerable enough to reveal my intention. And then I'm setting a frame where it's a false time constraint, and I'm qualifying her. I'm taking her looks off the table. I never
Yeah,
said she's
great.
beautiful. I take her looks off the table and say, see if she has a fun sense of humor. So now I'm qualifying her, not the other way around. So that's an example of being direct, but you do it with a sense of humor, and you do it in a way where you demonstrate four different vibes: that you're strong and commanding, you have balls, you own your intent. You've got to own your intent. The trouble with indirect is you're not owning your intent, and owning your intent without being needy is extremely attractive. If you can own your intent without being needy and mix it with a sense of humor, that's fucking super attractive. That's direct but non-attached and with a sense of humor. If you can then put her in a frame where she has to prove herself and don't even compliment her on her looks, take the looks off the table. And in and of itself, it's a pattern of that because a beautiful woman, can't count the number of times a woman has told me, "You didn't compliment me on my looks." So many guys tell me how beautiful I am. They get sickening. I just can't distinguish it. Now, if the guy's super good looking, he tells me I'm beautiful, that'll buy him 3 or 4 minutes, but that's all it'll buy him. One of the brilliant things that Eric did say that I really have adapted is the first 30 to 60 seconds, I may be misquoting him, is designed to buy you the next 3 minutes. And the next 3 minutes is designed to buy you.
That's correct. Yeah.
He said something along those lines. I'm not getting it exactly right, but that's 90% right. I need to pause and get a drink of water.
No
Hey,
problem.
I'll just say,
Well, I've got similar actually. So ones that I will say is they're the second best shoes I've seen today. So the openers, they're walking or you're following even over your shoulder to them, right? Don't be stopping them in the street too much. And then I'll point, they're the second best shoes I've seen today. And then I'll trail back up to my eyes from the shoes. And as they make first eye contact with me, they'll say one of two things usually, which is who's got the first? And I'll say this guy. So now I'm making fun of it. Or they'll say thank you. So for me, that's what I'm calling like semi-direct, semi-rect opener. They're the second best shoes I've seen today. Who's got the first? Oh, this guy. So that's one. Another one is because I'm sort of showing my intent there. And then the next is I'll do this like in a bar or somewhere, and I'll do this non-verbal one like that. And as they look, they see that it looks like I'm hiding. Most guys are staring. I'll point at them and I'll go like that. And I've not even said anything yet. And if they play along, they're playing along or they're smiling, then I'll go in direct. And I'll say, "Are you following me?" Like that. And they'll be like, "No," or "Yes." They'll play along sometimes. So yes. And I'll go, "Good," because I'm worth it. High five or whatever I'm doing there. And then I can go into a pattern or a routine or a gambit. And another one is, which is showing semi-rect interest, is the sharp elbow. Have you heard the sharp elbow one? So what I'll do is a lot of girls will be holding a drink like this or have their hand on their hip. And I'll just go by and the lightest you can do, just tap the elbow like this. And as they turn, I go, oh, that's a sharp elbow. And they go, "Oh, sorry." And I go, is that to keep the boys away? Like that.
I love it. That's hilarious.
And then they'll be like, "Yeah," or "No," whatever. And then I'll say, but they'll play along usually. And I'll say, "That's okay, because I'm a man, not a boy." And then I'll move forward.
I love
mic
it.
drop.
That's
Fucking mic
golden.
drop.
That's golden.
God damn. Back to the DHV things. I will say that in the past few days, I was actually writing an article about Mystery's 5 DHV types. One of the other ones was pre-selection, by the way, and that one's more obvious.
Pre-selection by what?
Just pre-selection in general. So as vague as that is, it can be very obvious if you have women with you. That's obvious pre-selection. But there are other forms. My
Then you
point
get
being,
the idiots. Then you get the complete idiots like Michael Sartain, who teach you to have pre-selection by creating bikini contests and all that other nonsense. So you can carry that to absurd extremes. Oh, did I say Sartain is an idiot? Sorry, I didn't mean to say he's a spineless idiot who cons men. I'm not saying that.
are we calling for a debate now?
I wouldn't, he doesn't deserve to speak with me. But anyway, let's keep going. I had to bring some unpleasantness into this, otherwise
Pattern interrupt. Anyway, back to the DHV stuff. It occurred to me, and some of this might seem pretty obvious, of course, but when I first like heard the term DHV and stuff, it was all vague to me, and I pretty much ignored it for like the most part. And then since writing about it a few days ago, I kind of realized demonstrations of higher value. I don't think it's actually about value, but it's really demonstrations of how attractive you are, if you put it in the simplest terms.
I'll buy that.
So I think that makes more sense because, like you say, the way you language things really decides, in some ways, your fate and how you perceive reality. But if you think about DHVs in terms of attraction, I can see how, and I agree with you that DHV stories can be like bragging. And I think that that is basically bragging, I suppose. Although you're possibly also demonstrating you're a good storytelling, so that's a good point too.
That's a good point.
However, if you really think about it in terms of like the value is that you are attractive and you're displaying how attractive you are. It's just another one, for example, was the leader of men, and was the other one like protector of loved ones. I kind of realized that these are kind of evolutionary because you have to be a protector of loved ones thousands of years ago for your tribe, not a psychopath that she can't have children with. So that would be unattractive if you were not a good option to mate with. And the leader of men, Beckster, talking about merging groups together and the adjacent set, for example, that's kind of a DHV in itself. That's attraction
It's
in the
also
sense that he's
demonstrating
leading.
it's demonstrating something else. It's demonstrating high social skills, high social intelligence, which I think high social intelligence is a survival trait, as is emotional intelligence. When you demonstrate emotional intelligence, and that requires you get genuinely, here's where we take a deep dive. To demonstrate emotional intelligence, EQ, you have to get genuinely curious about the other person. You have to really be interested in what makes them tick, and you also have to be emotionally self-regulated. Those things are very, very attractive. So if you're busy talking about yourself and talking about how you did this and this is your achievement, then you can't really get genuinely curious about the other person, or even if you do, you can't demonstrate it. So and even with speed seduction, that's true. It's a delicate balance if you really want to get mastery towards showing that you're genuinely curious about the other person. I have something I give away for free. I don't do it anymore, called the Curiosity Code, where we teach guys some ways that they can get genuinely curious about women without interrogating them, without making it seem like it's an interview or an interrogation or an audition. And I think that's an advanced skill. So if you talk too much about yourself, you can't really do that. But Beckster, I believe, is so skilled and is so charming, is so charismatic. He could read Sanskrit backwards, and the women would be leaping on him.
So what you said kind of makes
I hope that's
sense.
true. I wish that's true.
What you were saying about emotional intelligence, that makes sense in terms of what Mystery was talking about with willingness to emote. So that makes even more sense now. So
No, I'm
pretty
not talking about
interesting.
willingness to emote. I'm talking about understanding where the other person is coming from emotionally
Hmm.
and understanding emotional nuance and being emotionally nuanced yourself.
Yeah.
Understanding there are different flavors. I like, for example, I can hold two thoughts in my head at the same time. I don't want to get political, so let's not get political on this show. Well, I'm not going to, out of respect for both of you, even though I want to. I'm very proud to be Jewish today. Um,
I'm okay with that.
huh?
I'm okay either way. Doesn't matter.
Well, for example, I'm thrilled that Israel is pounding the crap out of Iran and cutting the head off the snake of worldwide terror. On the other hand, the Buddhist part of me is appalled at any life being lost, innocent or otherwise. So I'm holding two thoughts in my head at the same time. That's part of being emotionally intelligent, is to recognize where you're having your own internal conflict rather than bury it and to push it down and suppress it. So being emotionally nuanced, it doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you cry and become her girlfriend with a penis. It just means that you're self-aware.
Hmm.
And
Makes
this
a
Yeah,
lot of
you,
sense.
goes back to one more thing that's very rare, which is radical self-acceptance. I recall this when I was 19. I read a book by Albert Ellis, who is the founder of rational emotive therapy. And he said, if you can accept yourself, even if you fail or you go through an embarrassing situations, if you can still radically accept yourself, millions of women will want to screw you because they don't have that. And I didn't really recognize this until fairly recently. And I underwent an experience of profound self-forgiveness. I'll just say it, I don't care. I'm an open book. The last month, I completed my first month of microdosing with psilocybin. I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't done it. And I can't recommend things, but it's changed my world. And I really experienced a flood of self-forgiveness for a lot of fuck ups I've done over the past 60 years. People have been telling me for years, therapists and advisors, you need to forgive yourself, but they never gave me a good method. But I remember meditating. I won't get into details, but I really have felt that release since then. I think self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, they're not sexy. They're not, you can't sell it because it's not attractive or flashy, but it's a really important, powerful aspect of game that I've never thought about before. What to say taught it, and I think Robert is also someone who this is my observation about you, is someone who radically accepts that he can fuck up and not beat on himself for it, and that it's part of his learning. This is something I always liked about you. I don't know if I ever revealed this to you, even when you were wet behind the ears. You just seemed so eager to learn that you didn't care if you tripped on yourself. You just wanted to learn and had to have some mechanism where you just either brushed off the mistakes or forgave yourself for them and went right on going. I'm sure you have your days where you critique yourself and you hate on yourself, but all in all, I would say you're a very joyous and self-accepting human being. I don't think you have a mean or hateful bone in your body. I really don't.
it's good to hear. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I
Or
think
I,
experiment. Go on.
I'm sorry, where I have had mean and hateful bones in my body, I've chipped them away and cleansed them away through meditating, for the most part.
I mean, I think experimentation is part of my game. So when I am in field, even though I might have a bit of a structure, it can go lucid when it needs to. Uh, I always want to throw something in. So as soon as I hear a routine that I like, I want to go and experiment with that. Or if someone said something to me, even a girl in set, the next set, I'll say it in the next literal set. And that was something that like Mystery was always said. He said, as soon as you hear something, you're going to do it straight away in the next set. So yeah, experimenting, you're only going to find your own way and your own feet by experimentation, and you're going to learn a lot from it, and you're never going to be living outside the comfort zone bubble. And we all know life begins outside the comfort zone. And the more you're doing it, and the more you're experimenting, and if you're doing a lot of sets early on in the game to practice with volume and velocity, I think that you're going to be someone that's open to experimentation, and that also gives you a really good knowledge, micro calibration of when people say when you're in field, anything can happen, anything random can happen. So you're ready for that. You're ready for all circumstances.
Hmm. This question's relevant to what Russ was just talking about. So if that's the answer to this question I'm asking, fair enough. Do you have any recent epiphanies?
Yes, the importance of self-acceptance and a profound experience of self-forgiveness, which listen, I've done a lot of stuff for self-improvement and personal transformation. So after a month of psilocybin, it's like, have you seen Dune, either the movies or read the
Mm,
novels, where the
yeah.
spice changes Paul Atreides' consciousness? It's changed my consciousness. Again, I can't recommend people do things. You may have medical conditions or psychiatric stuff. It just has been wonderful for me. And also, it's illegal in most states. And so you pay your money and you take your chances. But I can only relate my own experience.
Beckster, how about you?
Well, I mean, I've microdosed with mushrooms as well, but my profound experience is, and I did find it helped a lot. But and that's the experimentation side, I guess, coming out of me. But I think that gratitude, and I know it's an old song, but it does work, and it still, it still gets yourself in a positive, happy, self-accepting mindset by doing it. And because people are always striving, I want this, now I want this, and greed and ego get involved, and that's the wrong spiral. So yeah, I think gratitude, just grounding myself and going, right, actually, I'm living a great life, and here is why. Give yourself reference points.
And I'll add to that, my unique contribution to this is it's not so unique. I learned it from my Buddhist teaching, the practice of metta, wishing goodwill on everyone. I've even taken it a step further and said the completion of gratitude for what you have is being happy for the success of other people. When I see people who are thriving, who are in thriving, happy relationships, or someone drives by in a Lambo, I bless them. I say, bless you. May you have the best time, drive safely, enjoy that car. I don't want a Lambo, but
Even if you stole it?
no, I don't want a Lambo. Yuck. I've driven one briefly that a student was renting. Those cars fly. Or if I see a very happy marriage, which I've never had, I say, bless your love, may you flourish and prosper and continue to grow together. I show happiness for the success of others. It's the flip side of the same coin. And if there's a couple of practices I would recommend for people, learn to be happy for the success of others. Purge yourself of envy. Envy and resentment are poisons that will prevent you from truly shining through life. Purge yourself of envy, of resentment, of entitlement, of despair, of demandingness. Purge yourself of the need to be certain. And step into the place where you don't let your internal dialogue and your speculation determine what will be the architect of your life. Let your vision, your values, your joyful dedication to your experiments in the world show you and be the architect of your life. These are huge changes. Do those things. I don't care. Well, I do care, but and show kindness to yourself and others and go kick ass. You have the right to be successful with women. And even if you do 1/10 of what Robert teaches you or 1/10 of what I show you, 1/10 will distinguish you from other men so greatly. There's an old joke I like to tell. So two sensitive new age guys are in the woods and they're hugging trees and singing poems by Maya Angelou, and they're weeping about how they'll never menstruate. And suddenly a hungry bear comes charging out of the woods and its jaws are just slobbering with hunger. And one of the sensitive new age guys takes off and starts running. And the other one says, "You'll never outrun the bear." And he says, "I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you." So guys out there who think you have to be perfect at Mystery Method or Beckster Method or my method, nah, no, you don't. You don't have to outrun that bear. You just have to outrun the other guy, which is pretty easy because guys are fucking clueless. Talk to any attractive woman. When women ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a podcaster and a trainer. And I say I'm a charisma coach and an emotional intelligence coach for men. And they say, "You're kidding. Bless you. You're doing God's work. Men are so clueless." And so I find out from a woman's perspective, and when I tell them this, they're like so effusively grateful to me, and they will tell you, men are clueless. I'm not blaming men, but men are clueless. If you do 1/10 of what Beckster is teaching you, 1/10 of what I'm teaching you, uh, you're going to be so far ahead of the game. You don't need it'll be ridiculous.
Yeah, I think for the average guy out there that's not learning anything, and I'm always listening in because I'm in field a lot. It's getting worse. Like the average guy is getting worse at what they're saying. I can't believe what they're saying out there. It just is like a child talking to an adult, the child being the guy, talking to an
Yeah.
adult being the woman. And so when they get a refreshing, interesting question that and makes them think and is, thought provoking and even maybe touches a few emotions in there, then they're stimulated instantly because there's hardly any stimulation out there. No one's standing out. So know your opener going in, I'd say.
Alrighty, here's a question. How do you coach men who struggle with low self-worth or negative self-talk?
Well, there's no such
And
thing as self-worth. Sorry, Robert.
no, go.
It's an abstract concept. But if you mean that they're stuck in powerfully suboptimum emotional states and they're constantly attacking themselves, the first thing I want them to do is get them to have a blank slate. Start them in the position of neutrality. I don't expect them to go from hating themselves to being perfectly happy with themselves in the space of a week. I will teach them a practice, a meditative practice, a self-hypnotic practice, and a practice of conquering their fears. Really the crux of it is not a lack of self-worth. It's a lack of belief that they can do things in the world, a feeling of helplessness, learned helplessness. So I will actually give them assignments. Back when I'm pretty much retired. But unless you really want to pay me through the nose for personal mentoring one-on-one, then we can give out a link. And you have to apply and you have to pay $197 just to apply. We'll refund it if I decide not to even talk to you. But be that as it may, I want to teach them a practice of challenging their fears. For example, I will challenge them to go up to a woman and say, excuse me, I'm working on my shame and my fear talking to women. So in 60 seconds from now, and I have them look at their watches, will you either coldly ignore me or viciously verbally assault me? Wait, go. And this is such a pattern interrupt for the women. They've told me 90% of the time the women laugh and they say, I'm not a mean woman. I would never do that to a guy. And you seem like you're so fun and funny. They're shocked by it. And I said, good, do it 10 times. 10% of the women don't get mean. They just coldly ignore them and turn around. And then they learn, what they learn is they can conquer their fears. By doing something absurd and fun, it sets them free. The chains fall off. And suddenly they can see that they can do things in the world that they were afraid to do before. They take on the very thing they fear with absurdity. Never underestimate the power of the absurdity and illusion to fight absurd fears and absurd illusion. I learned that from my meditation teacher who learned it from his Zen master.
But can you imagine just you saying that, what you said to us, saying just that to a woman in field, it is powerful enough for her to go, I can be myself in front of this guy. Oh my God. There's someone that I can see.
Everyone wants to be vulnerable, but they always want the other person to go first. So you go first.
That's right.
Create that. I think if women can feel safe and utterly turned on at the same time, that's a very unique combination. So how can you show vulnerability and at the same time demonstrate being strong-willed and being willing to take control? It appears to be a paradox, but in paradox, there's power. I've taught this forever. In paradox, there's power. This is the same in physics. Is light a particle or is it a wave? Well, it's something that behaves as both depending on how you measure it. And that realization changed the face of physics. So I think paradoxically, being able to demonstrate vulnerability, putting your head on the chopping blocks, handing the woman the axe metaphorically and say, here's my head. What do you want to do? And at the same time, conveying without saying it, you're willing to tie her up and spank her and do her in every orifice. Being able to demonstrate both of those is wildly attractive. That you can live in your mom's basement and be 60 pounds overweight. I wouldn't recommend it. It's hard to think well of yourself when you do it, but you see my point.
Mm.
Yeah, I find being a bit cheeky gets me through a lot of things because in a way, being cheeky is also showing your vulnerability of someone could be like, he's an idiot, you know, whereas they don't. They fall into the frame of I can be silly as well. You know, what was funny when you were small is funny again.
It's
So
funny.
I've,
I'm sorry,
sorry,
Robert. No, I'm sorry.
what? So like loads of little things. Like I was playing with miniatures once. I just found a load of miniatures, and I had a little bottle of Coke, a little like animation miniature, and I'd rolled that in a bag, a see-through baggie, and I'd go into set like a group of people, and I'd let go of the bag, and it would roll down really long, and at the bottom I'd say, "Anybody want to? I've got a little Coke." Is what I'd say. I've got a little Coke. And then they'll go, and then they'd look carefully and go, oh. But you could see the girls that really wanted it as well going, oh. But it's a good little, you know, reframe, it's a good joke to pull in to show I'm silly. After that, they're going to tell me anything. They're going to see me as a guy they can open up to. So loads of things. I had a miniature duck. I said, anybody fancy a duck? You know, and then it's a little duck, and it's just stupid things that open them up to being, you know, friendly with you and open-minded and telling you things they probably wouldn't tell anyone.
It's pretty good.
Also, another one is, but most people aren't going to do this, but I'm going to say it anyway, especially for the youngsters out there.
Forgive me.
Going on the dark.
Forgive me. I'm paying my cleaning lady by Apple Pay. I'm just go ahead,
No,
Robert.
no worries.
You know, disrespect.
And going on the dance floor and just dancing silly. I've got one called Beckster Rampage on YouTube, and I'm just dancing silly, and you see the girls gather around, and they all want to join in. They, you know, there's moves for it with the scarf where you can lasso them in and so on, do the limbo. But yeah, just silly things like that. Meet in the room by doing that. Everyone's watching you, but you're also showing vulnerability at the same time. But within there, it's a fine line, a semi-rect line between that and confidence, conviction.
Interesting.
So that's one way I would show vulnerability, and it shows that I'm self-amused as well, and freedom from outcome.
I love that.
Uh,
Self-amusement, freedom from outcome.
Beckster, I got a question for you. Is it better to give preemptive negs before the girl gives signs of disinterest, or send negs only when the girl sends signs of disinterest?
I mean, if I'm gonna neg, I'm gonna show it when she shows disinterest, but you can also reframe it. You can also snip the conversation and stack. You say, I'm not even in that headspace now. Even better than that. And stack forward to the next routine or the next pattern that you want to say. That makes sense?
Let's good
Okay,
question
done.
here.
Thank you, guys. I had to pay my cleaning lady with Apple Pay.
Alrighty.
I'm going to get into so much trouble. We put miniature Israeli flags all along the banister and my door and the banister. We're going to get so many complaints from neighbors, but my neighbors across the way put up their gay and trans flags because it's Pride Month here in San Diego. So I'm going to say, hey, if I have to take down mine, they have to take down theirs. So I'm going to get into trouble. I love it.
If I was doing that, I would just put I'll put North Korea, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, gay flag, straight pride flag, everything. Then you don't know who did it. It wasn't it
It's
wasn't that
clearly me.
suspicious white guy over there.
It's clearly me. I have a mezuzah and I walk around wearing the Israel Defense Forces shirt and I have my Star of David. She knows it. Absolutely, she knows it's me, the landlord.
Alrighty. This question escaped me. Where did it go? Um, Fuck, I lost it. Whatever. Let's just ask this one. What are some perceptions or concepts in pickup that are detrimental to people's game?
Say that again. Sorry, repeat.
What are some perceptions or concepts in pickup that are detrimental to people's game?
Oof. Well, I mean, people think trying to be like James Bond and being like not smiling whatsoever is going to help. But I disagree with that. I think you know, you have to be smiling some of the time. So people are making a mistake there for never smiling, trying to be too cool, you know. But I tell you the place that happens the most, just to give you an example, LA and Miami. So there you go. And it also London. London can be like that. The stiff upper lip, they call it.
I have nothing to add.
Here's another one. What are the top 5 or 10 cities in the USA for day game that are walkable?
That are what?
Walkable, require no car, no driving license.
Can
In
I think New
Southern
York?
California. In Southern California, you need a car.
Yeah.
So I'm out there. I don't know.
Basically, no cities in the USA are like that apart from,
I didn't say that. I just said my experiences in Southern California, you need a car.
I'd say New York, right?
yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't get who people who say they can't pull in New York. The streets are just so cramped together. You just look around, there's beautiful women everywhere. The financial
Yeah.
district, go to the financial district in New York City, and that's crazy in New York City. I haven't been there in so long. I wouldn't go anymore. It's not safe. It's not safer in a lot of cities anymore.
Any other cities like
Well, I
New
could
New
take one
York?
in London, England, but it's not New York.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, in what part? Yeah, London. Yeah, I quite like London.
Yeah, USA is
I,
just a
you
very
know where in London,
non-pedestrian
you know
country.
where you could pull if you want high class girls, high class women in London, is go to Canary Wharf where all the financial stuff is. It's very posh, and I remember being in the financial district
Yeah,
and
you like it there,
That's
don't
where
you?
we met. That's where I
Canary
met
Wharf.
you.
Huh?
That's where we met.
Canary Wharf. Yes, I
Yeah.
love Canary Wharf.
No wonder. Makes sense now. I guess we're finished with that question then. Yeah, it's just like the USA it's designed to have fucking highways everywhere. So, new apart from New York, like it's rare to find like shopping malls, fucking Walmart, or like big things that require a lot of land in, well, Manhattan
There's
in
some
general.
secret coffee houses. If when you come out to San Diego, I'll take you to a place called MURI. Murai. It's a Muri or however they pronounce it. It's a Kurdish coffee shop where they make pastries on site, and it's loaded with beautiful women who are studying or just enjoying a coffee with other women. And it's unique. It's always crowded, and it's unique. It's quiet. It's in a former house. It used to be a house, and it's very unique. You have to find these little watering holes. I would normally share it, but with Beckster, absolutely, I'll share it.
Thank you very much. I've got a question, Ross. What's your favorite pattern, if you have one,
I don't have a favorite pattern. It
or one
depends.
that comes to mind?
I'll tell you a good one that's worked 100% for me, converting. I converted two friends who are like sisters to me, who I'd known for 6 years with this one pattern. I'm going to give it away because I love Ice. He's been good to me, and you're my friend, and I'm going to give it away. Here it goes. So these two women for 6 years were not attracted to me. Converted them like that. So I met him for coffee, and I always sit side by side or kitty corner. It's very important because I want to be able to reach out and touch them. And I made small talk and fluff talk and, asked, how's your life going? What's going on? I said, are you a people watcher? And this time I've known you, I've never asked you this question. And of course, they both said yes. This was at separate times. They weren't together with me. And I said, you know, a week or so ago, I was sitting right here, and right over that table over there. There's a couple, and you could tell they were on a very bad first date. Now, right then, I'm setting up a story, and it's the topic women are interested in, which is everyone is interested in other people's failures, particularly romantically. It makes you feel better. And so I said, they were obviously on a bad date. Debbie, they weren't able to, no, one's name is Christine, and the other one's name is Jennifer. And I said, they obviously weren't able to feel this incredible connection. They weren't able to feel that click right there. Those butterflies that can allow a person to have certain thoughts. That just wasn't happening right now. But instead, you could see her body language was closed. Occasionally she checked her phone, and he was trying so hard, but getting nowhere. And all of a sudden, everything changed. And I paused. And what response does that get? They want to know what changed. I said, all of a sudden, and I could hardly believe it. He reaches over and he just rubs the back of her neck like this. Now, you saw me do this at my London seminar with Charlotte, as a matter of fact. She had passed a note that she had passed a note to someone that said, I don't fancy him. I don't know if you know that. She passed that note to somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
I
then
didn't know.
this thing with her, it rubbed the back of it's a huge turn on to women. And then he leaned over and he whispered something in her ear. And all of a sudden, she's all over him, Jen. She's macking on him. And I don't know what was going on. She gets up to go to the bathroom. I walk over to the guy. And I said, first of all, dude, you're my hero, but you got to tell me, what did you whisper in her ear? And I'm doing this to Christine or Jen as I'm describing it. And he said, and now I'm using quotes. I'm quoting inside of a story, so it's double quotes. Well, I just leaned in her ear, and then I leaned into Jen's ear, and I whispered, can you imagine that special growing tension just before that first soft electric brush of the lips? And all the things we'll do to each other when we're finally all alone. I mean, did he really expect her to imagine that and take action on it, Jen? And then they left hand in hand. She came back from the bathroom and they left arm in arm. And I can only imagine what they did, Jen. And that turned it around completely. One of them invited me back to her place, and the other one, we had a tremendous makeout at my car, and then we later went back to my place. That converted two girls who were friends of mine for 6 years. And both of them said, I thought we'd be friends for life. The other one said, I don't know why I was so turned on. You're not my type. You're still not my type. So that's the best. That's the shortest, most effective get out of the friend zone pattern I know.
Are you slightly removing yourself as well from that pattern?
Yes. Yes, because I'm telling a story about
with a quote in a double remove.
They both said? They both said, I could feel your lips brushing my ear slightly and your breath against my neck. Because I'm telling the story, I'm whispering in their ear, but just enough so my lips brush their earlobes.
Plausible deniability too.
Plausible deniability.
I've got one, or a couple similar where you're using the excuse as well to, brush the ear behind the ear or the back of the neck. And I think that's so powerful because, you're justifying it as well within the story. And one of them is, the second part is I've got this 3 criteria that I normally like in a woman, but I can only tell you if you're open-minded and friendly. Are you? And she says yes. Right, so the first is I don't like girls that wear too much makeup. If you put a kiss here and it leaves a lipstick mark, you're obviously wearing too much. She'll kiss there. And then you go, the second is, and this is where it comes in. The second one is I love girls with lush smelling hair. And then I'll lean in and because normally then they'll offer because they're still qualifying themselves. And I'll lean in, I'll rub my thumb behind the ear and maybe touch the back of the neck, as Ross says. And then I'll smell close. And I remember you said to add this because I taught this one on stage at your seminar once or twice maybe, and you said add that noise in to get a bit of a vocal near the ear, so that rings true to what you said earlier. And then I'll pull my cheek slowly away like that, and I'll look at the eyes, triangle gaze, look at the lips, and if I feel I'm getting the signs. I will say I must, and then I'll go 90% in. She goes 10% in. So what I must have incorporated from NLP and speed seduction is to be doing
that's
this.
deadly, brushing that. I have to tell you take over.
No worries. And And then there's a third and a fourth and so on. But what you're doing is you're giving reasons why you're doing it. But to remove yourself, something I would say is I was just chatting to my friend Alison over there, and we were discussing, is it better to be wanted or needed or whatever I'm doing? We were discussing, and then use your insert opener there, whatever your opener is. But the pre-bit is false time constraint. I can only stay a moment. Social proof. I was chatting to my friend Alison over there, point over there, misdirect for a moment, and then back. And we were discussing, and then say it. So you're not out and out asking the question to
It's
them
like a
anyway.
game of DHV bingo. Imagine if we made a DHV bingo card. We just
Yeah.
have like
Ding,
a
ding, 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 ding.
25 5x5 DHVs. Like you got this one, this one, this one.
Yeah,
Damn,
yeah.
that's a formula right there. I should fucking
I'm
make that.
trying to say as much stuff in the shortest possible of time before they speak next to get that set to open smoothly and have interest immediately, if possible. Sometimes it takes a bit more time and so on, but I'm trying to get in, boom. And it's really good for cold approach. So I'm not waiting for a warm approach or an IOI unless I'm forcing one. I'm going in and I'm false time constraint. I can only stay a moment, social proof. And then I'll be running into that pattern I told you earlier about 5 or 10 minutes in to get kinesthetic in touch.
Back to the friends thing. I'm just so fascinated by the power of frames, frame control, reframing, like anything about frames. Um, University, for example, I went to university in London, and there was a time when the girl sitting next to me, the girl sitting in front of me, the girl sitting in front of her, and the girl sitting in front of her had all at some point slept with me. And back to the point I'm trying to make, they were friends. So my way of thinking about this, which again comes back to how you language things, determining uh, how things work out for you, to put it basically. Um, I never saw friends as like a label. I'm a very no label kind of guy. So you're simply a man, she's simply a woman, and you have a friendship. And whenever, for example, a close female friend had some objection, not objection, but she would say something like, I think this would ruin our friendship
Right.
once things become sexual. My key fucking sentence for this is so fucking good. It's something along the lines of this. I want you to understand that we will always be friends at the very least. No, no, no. Here it is. Let me start again. I want you to understand that no matter what happens, we will always be friends at the very least. So it's putting
I
in the
love that.
box. There's like a level of what your relationship is. No matter what happens, if you become my girlfriend, that's okay. If you become my fuck buddy, that's okay. But no matter what happens, you'll never go lower than this. So
I
you
love
could
that.
be
That's brilliant.
a regular fuck buddy. We can do it once, whatever, but we will always be fucking friends. Or basically, if you want to take the labels out of it, just for you guys to think about it, remove the friendship label and just think you'll always be on good terms. That's really what it means. It's not about the label. It's just that no matter what happens, our friendship cannot be ruined
I would
because
even
I'm
add,
okay with anything.
I would even say, look into your heart and see how easily you recognize we will always be friends at the very least. That's even, but that's brilliant.
Mm, wonderful.
Sorry, I'm having a camera issue. Carry on without me for the moment.
I have another 25 minutes, then I got to leave.
Alrighty. Yeah, let me take a look at this. Let's get a question from Australia. Red pill is so hated, but sometimes it seems too correct and relevant. For example, I have seen females behave exactly the same way they are in the book by Roel Tomasi. Should I follow the red pill?
I don't know what
I
he
don't
means.
know much about Red Bull. So.
I don't care to discuss red pill.
Okay, that solves that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on to everyone then. Does going out picking up women get harder or easier when you get as old as Ross Jeffries? Is the type of women still pretty young, or does it increase a little
I
as you
find
get
myself
older?
more interested in women in their mid 30s because younger women, we have to be careful. This is, again, a gross oversimplification and a gross overgeneralizing. But I found that younger women don't have the emotional nuance and the level of horniness that women in their mid 30s do. But what I look for is someone who I look, essentially, I don't want to just masturbate inside someone's vagina with my penis. I'm no longer interested in ejaculating as my way of life. For me to enjoy sex, I really want to feel an emotional connection. And that's hard to do with a woman who's so significant, like 40 years younger. It's hard to do. I can do it, but it's hard to do. And there is a not significant, there's a percentage of women who are just not going to go for who I can't move them. Not that I can't move them off the age gap. I don't want to do the work. I'm lazy. No, I'm not lazy. I have other things I'm focusing on in my life. And so I don't know if that's a good answer or a mealy mouth answer. What are you meowing about? I got to show you my new girlfriend anyway, because this is La Lele.
Oh,
What a
how
cute little
gorgeous.
doggy. She's very attached to daddy.
Very
She looks
gorgeous.
beautiful, very friendly looking.
Hey, I love them
I,
glasses.
I remember getting your newsletters, Ross. I think one was from 96.
Yeah, the Get Laid
And
stuff.
that's right. They were awesome. And I know I still have ones printed out in my attic. Like it's like a PUA, a treasure trove up there of archive of 3 decades up there.
Digitize it.
But
Digitize it in case
yeah,
there's a fire.
I feel I will try and do that actually. And I remember in it you would talk a lot about your cat Sarge, and that's where the name Sarging came
Yeah,
from,
he was
right?
a real cat. He died of feline HIV. I told him
Oh,
to use a condom, but he wouldn't listen.
God damn.
No, they think he died from bites from an infected cat. He used to go out and fight
oh.
all the time. He was fixed.
Hmm.
We cut his balls off, but he still was a tomcat who liked to fight.
Damn. That's like a legendary cat in pop
Yeah,
culture
that's
now. Yeah.
legendary. That's like an
It's
icon.
real.
That's the icon of game, that
He was
cat.
beautiful but stupid and mean. Beautiful cat, a Russian blue, but stupid and mean.
And in the end, he had no balls. So it's
He
sad
didn't
ending.
didn't bother him. He had big old balls. When I got him at the shelter, they were hanging over my arm.
Moving on. Beckster, how about you? As a reminder, the question was, as you get older, do the women you date get older? Like, do you now ignore 21-year-olds, for example?
I just find it that I'm not that much attracted to them as much now. But it's still, m most ages. Uh, I guess I'm going for slightly older. Yeah, slightly older than I used to. But I don't find a difference. I think as long as the woman's stimulated and you're interested and you know what you're doing, it's not an issue. It's not an issue. For men, it's an issue, right? For women, it's not an issue.
It's after those MILFs now.
I
Just
like to
go
joke
ahead.
and say, I like to joke and say, if it weren't for daddy issues and bad parenting, I'd never get laid.
God
Yeah, there's
damn.
some truth to it, probably.
All right, here's a really good question, I think. For Ross, but I think this applies to everyone who can answer it. After everything you've learned about influence, attraction, and human behavior, what's the biggest inner shift you believe men need to make in today's society? Modern men collectively.
Boy, you give me the easy softball questions. I can't speak for society. I can only speak for me and the people who listen to what I teach. Biggest transformation you can do is combine compassion for yourself and others with allowing your vision and your values and your bold experiments in the world be the architects, the engineers, and the designers of your life. Walk through the world without needing a guarantee and balance your intent and your will with joy and a willingness to take the hits, because you're going to take hits. That's a bad metaphor, but you're going to take hits. I took a lot of hits in the beginning. I still take some now and again. Robert took a lot of hits in the beginning. Don't flinch from the challenges of life, but rather face them with courage and joy. Courage balanced with joy. One of my affirmations I say is, you're powerful, engaging, and fun with women. You radiate your confidence, your radical self-acceptance, and grounded, radiant joy that wet women's pussies and make them instantly eager to fuck you. And it's that last part, radical self-acceptance and grounded, radiant joy. Robert is joyous. You can see it. He enjoys his life.
Been a good life.
Do you have an answer too, Beckster? Any comment on that?
No, that's good.
And our question for Ross, can speed seduction be used in speed dating?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, I'll give you some freebies. When you want, don't ask what they like to do for fun. Say, when you want to do something that makes you feel totally alive and gets your heart beating hard, so hard, and time flies by, what do you love to do? Or what's something you've always dreamed of, fantasized about doing, but haven't let yourself dare? And shut up. That requires an answer from a much deeper level of their consciousness. It requires that they go into their imagination, their fantasy mechanism. Rather than asking, what do you like to do for fun? You get a factual answer. You understand? So it's a much, much, much different kind of question.
I remember when I was starting out practicing speed seduction, and I would actually go to speed dating and practice my patterns there. It's a great place to practice them. It's amazing. I remember the first ever pattern I used was, and I know you're not going to enjoy this one anymore because it's a long time ago, but it's has anyone ever told you you're a shining example of genetic perfection?
I don't care. Listen, I just say to people, don't get stuck. I stole this from Richard Bandler. Don't get stuck at my current level at my old level of development.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Things evolve.
I got a question similar to a few things we discussed before. What are your favorite real-world applications of anchoring or reframing in a dating context?
I've already answered it.
Yeah, I think we've answered that.
Objection asked and answered.
Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting one. What's the worst field experience you turned into a win?
I think you answered that as well.
Yeah, I answered that as well.
God damn it.
Oh, well, you know, like so some girls they'll go in with the attitude that they hate you and they're really angry and so on. And that's hard. That's easy to work with, easier to work with than apathy, than indifference.
Yes, indifference is very hard to turn around. What do you do with it? I can work with anger. I can work with being offended. I can enjoy that actually. But if someone's indifferent and is not responding at all, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I can't multiply a zero.
How about this one? Might also be similar, but what were your biggest internal mindset shifts that took your game to the next level at any point before?
I realized that confidence is not a thing, and it's not a quantity of something you have in your body, like oil in your car. It's a combination of beliefs and behaviors and attitudes and breath patterns, and that I stopped looking at confidence as a thing. I looked at it as a process. I really took to heart the NLP concept of nominalization. A nominalization is when you take a verb and you turn it into a noun or a thing. For example, fear. I have fear. No, I am doing the process of fearing, or I'm having the fearing experience. That frees me up to move beyond it, as opposed to saying, I am afraid. When I say I am afraid, I'm making it about who I am in my entirety. I can't fix it or change it. So learning to stop doing nominalization, it's a technical NLP term, look it up, was a huge shift in my consciousness. And also learning to look not for behaviors, but to create and generate states of emotion. That's the big one. Those were my two, just zoom, opening my mind like a diamond blossoming, a diamond flower blossoming in the pussy spring.
I think mine was qualifying, knowing that you can qualify a woman. That's really powerful. Knowing that a woman is like, men are really have that fear, which can also be termed as excitement. Run it, so they won't open a set, they won't go and talk to someone they like. But realizing that women are also scared or excited when you're talking to them, when you're opening them. So sometimes you have to forgive them for maybe they'll say something stupid at the beginning and you think she doesn't like me. That might not be true. Keep going. Don't give up. Most men just walk away straight away after the first reply for a woman, thinking that she doesn't like them. So stick in there.
Beckster, what are your favorite verbal spikes and routines for escalating the man to woman romantic sexual frame?
What are my verbal spikes for escalating? As in
Yeah,
words? As in words or
yeah.
moves? Well, the power word, I must. That's one. So, yeah, that's it. That's my power move. I must. That's my verbal spike for it. But you can use, but I'll anchor words, certain words towards myself or touch their arm or do both at the same time as I'm saying them, like attraction, desire, lust, things like that. So if you want to add them in as well. Also, what Ross said earlier, like mirror and matching their words, they might have certain phrases or words that they use. You can feed that back to them in set. So using their own spikes, or with them, so they hear their own spiked words that they use a lot back at them. Trance words, I think it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you guys feel pickup has lost its edge or become too sanitized in recent years?
Not my version.
Yeah, it depends what version you're on about, totally. I mean, if you're looking at all the new breed of people, and that's anyone that started in the last maybe 15 years or longer, then yeah, they're teaching something totally different that you can clearly see doesn't work well, doesn't get you the hotties, and is a one-note song. That's what it looks like, what the new breed are doing. And they're all copying each other, which is a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, which we all know makes that photocopy terrible. So they don't realize to go back in. Yeah.
It's an imitation of a copy of a facsimile of a sham.
There we go. There we go.
That's not original with me. I don't remember who said it, some comedian.
Have you guys
So I
seen like
just
the Riz
go on.
videos, for example?
The what?
Riz videos.
I know what Riz is. What videos are you referring to? Like on Instagram?
Yeah, they kind of like reposted on Instagram, I guess, but they do
I
like
don't trust
POV
them.
though.
I don't trust them because here's the thing. You don't know how edited they are. You don't know if they're actresses. You don't know how many ones that blew them off or not being shown. You have no way of knowing. Now, I've seen AI that's so convincing, like, what the fuck? How do I know? It's so very convincing. It's only getting better and better and better. It's very interesting. They now have AI OnlyFans girls who are not even real. They're all AI, and they're like, what the fuck? AI?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just the fact that guys are even falling for that. Like, for example, just a week ago or something, I was just going through Instagram and I stumbled upon this AI bikini model. And I was like, obviously, it looked very convincing if you paid no attention to it. But then once you inspect, I'm like, how the fuck does this have 859,000 followers. It's
Because it
clearly
looks
AI.
because guys are thirsty and it looks real. It's only getting better, I'm telling you.
God damn,
Uh,
it's just too
yeah, I think
crazy.
with the Riz videos as well, like Ross was saying, is they look cut up. You're not seeing the rejections. Like any videos that, I mean, I've been on YouTube for like 16 years, and not that I'm constantly posting, but I'm posting a lot these days. I've always done full length infields on there so that you can see the whole start to the end, where it's not possible for someone to, you know this is really happening. And what I've been starting doing is using the glasses as well a little bit, and that's great POV.
Mm. Yeah, all these videos are always like 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
You,
So it's like
you can't
it,
tell
it
anything.
works.
Yeah,
It
that's
works
not a
for the
pickup.
algorithm.
Or if they get a
Nobody,
number, so what? So they get a phone number, so what? What
Yeah,
happens with it after?
yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah, they're
Spurious.
the greatest advice I ever heard about approach anxiety came from Ross Jeffries himself. He said, "You don't have approach anxiety, you have opportunity hesitation." That is such a powerful reframe. That's the best
But
pick.
that's the power of language. But that's the power of
Yeah.
language to change everything. To do that's again, and I think people ask me, how do you come up with this stuff? And I say, first of all, obsessive compulsive disorder when it comes to language. I think I'm hardwired for words, for language. I can't do, I'm very difficult to assemble even the simplest thing, but I'm hardwired for words.
Interesting. Do you have other
Mine,
examples
mine
of
is the quote.
crazy? Go ahead.
The one I like is from Winston Churchill, and he says, "I'm not scared of action. I'm scared of inaction." And most people never get started. They're trying to read up and they never actually get started. I wonder what the percentage of people that would even consider themselves a PUA or is into pickup, like they watch a lot of stuff, they read a lot of stuff, they maybe keyboard jockey a lot of stuff. How many of them are actually talking to anybody? And I believe that's quite high. I think most people are just like voyeurs of the of pickup and not
Well,
action takers,
there has
opportunity takers.
been in the news something about a crazy percentage of men who have never asked a woman out in person, like the
Yeah.
new
Men,
generation.
it's crazy. Men are just so scared and so put down and so lonely. I've said to women, if you understood how lonely men are and how long some of them have gone without any physical intimacy at all, you'd weep. You would weep if you have a heart at all. If you have any empathy in you or heart at all, you'd weep. And
Yeah.
the beautiful ones, sometimes I say, listen, you have no idea of the world of power you walk through. I can't imagine what it would be like to be so attractive. All you have to do is walk into a room and everyone wants to do you. The men, the women, that kind of power, I hope you're using it responsibly because you have the ability to wreck people.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a
Very
tremendous
true.
power.
Yeah, in a situation like that, if I was saying that, I would ask her after saying that, how do you choose? Just to see if there's any lesson there. But anyway, Beckster, how about what's your advice for approach anxiety?
I think you just got to get in there. I mean, first of all, a bit of having a bit of structure, some material to say, and then just going and practicing it and refining it and getting micro calibration on it and learning what women are going to say to you as a rebuttal. Or is a woman going to shit test you or so on? Learning it, learning the mechanics. And people think that they can just drop the basics straight away when they get good at this. No, Bruce Lee had to practice his punch every day, his kick every day. He didn't just go to like treble roundhouses and flying kicks straight away. You got to humble yourself in this pickup as well, and don't think that you're better. You just got to go for it, still practice the basics, and get in there, and you'll learn a lot. And fear goes away after a while when you're talking to lots of women over a long period of time in your life. Fear goes away, but excitement might not. But fear goes away.
Right.
Mm.
You
Um,
want to get You don't want to get desensitized, but you want to get accustomed to beautiful women.
I love that.
And
Beautiful. Got a great question here from Jay Endless. Where to start for NLP to holistically rewire opportunity hesitations and self-imposed blockages to seizing the opportunities presented?
Well, if you want to mentor with me, now that I'm getting out of the, how much do I want to say? If you want to mentor with me, go to seduction.com/mentoring. It is $197 to apply because I want to kick out the dead weight. It's only for people who have already doing well with women, but they're coming out of a divorce or an engagement, or they're back in the game and they're over 35. I no longer want to deal with people, no disrespect to you, Robert, who want to be club rats, and they have to be men who have been successful in the world, intelligent, who have thought this thought. And if you're watching this and you've thought this thought, I don't get it. I'm disciplined. I'm super smart. I'm at the top of my profession, or I built my own business. Why can't I figure out women? Or you've done well, but now you're lost your mojo because of a long stale period being married, and you want to be back at the top of your game. If you want a seduction rebirth, go to seduction.com/mentoring and put in your $197. I'll look at your application. If I don't think you're a fit, we refund your money. If I think you're a fit, I'll put you on my calendar. And I really do only take 3 people a quarter. And I'll say this, it is not cheap. We are talking 5 figures. So if you can't do that, if that scares you, then don't apply. And at that note, I actually have to go. I have things to do. It's been a pleasure, Beckster. When are you going to be back in the
been
States?
emotional.
When are you going to be back?
Maybe in like 3 months, but I'll let you
Where?
know. It could be sooner.
Where?
I don't know yet, but I normally fly into LA, so not so far away from San
All
Diego.
right. My family lives up in LA. I go up every couple of months, so I'll come up just to see you, and then I'll see my
Okay.
All right.
I'll look forward to
I
that.
gotta
Yes,
go.
Russ,
pleasure.
Hey,
super quick question. Would you ever consider debating Dan Bilzerian?
he is an anti-Semite Nazi. He should burn in a pit of fiery semen, a fetid fiery semen, in the lowest pit of hell with a red-hot fireplace poker shoved up his ass sideways. I hope I'll say this to him. If you're watching this, you fucking Nazi, limach shimao. That means may your name be erased from history as if you never existed. I'm Israel Chai. I'm so proud to be Jewish, and Israel is cutting off the snake of terror, and the West owes Israel a debt. That's my politics. If you don't like it, fuck you. Thank you, Beckster. Thank you, Ice. I gotta go.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Take care.
Alrighty, just me and Bexter now, the
Hey,
boys.
hey. Hey.
Anything you want to
I forget
discuss?
I forget the question that what was the question? How that you asked Ross just then?
Oh yeah, here it is. It's in a different place. Where can one start NLP, learning NLP to rewire opportunity hesitations and self-imposed blockages into seizing the opportunities presented?
Okay, so it's a plug time. I can say attractionunleashed.com. And then I say ICE. Say ICE's
It
name.
it's
Um,
overtime now. We can do
yeah,
whatever we want.
yeah. Okay. Just because that link below that is on there, don't go there on my one. That's the wrong link. That doesn't go anywhere. But it's attraction. We'll give you a better one. But attractionunleashed.com. And Mystery and I do events on there mostly. And then some I do on my own as well. So, and he zooms in usually as well for them ones. But normally we're just doing them together. So you get 2 gurus for the price of 1, 2 methods which also merge into each other. So I find that very powerful. Instead of just learning 1 method, you can learn 2. And yeah, that was my little plug.
Hmm. I was also going to ask about reframes. Russ is very good at that. Do you have anything you could tell us about reframes?
I think all good pickup artists and seducers are good at the reframe. And there's
Mm.
in NLP they say if your conviction is bigger than their conviction, you win. Like Pac-Man, you eat. You know, so the bigger conviction wins, basically. So you can just keep going. I'm like, you can't get blown out if you don't leave the set. They have to walk away. You know, most guys go in and walk away, go in and walk away. You know, obviously you want to be trying to do it slightly over the shoulder or side by side, not direct on. But, you know, as long as you don't walk away, who says you have to go anywhere? Then they have to go away and you can't be blown out. Or you could just turn your back on set and say, "Stop following me," like that. So the other people think that she's following you. And then you can get yourself back in there.
Interesting. Yeah, I just love the whole reframes thing because the one way I relate to Ross in particular is because he's able to transform situations into completely different things. Like he doesn't take confrontation personally, and a lot of people do. And my example of the friend zone thing basically not existing, or don't focus on the words too much, but we will always, no matter what happens, we will always be friends at the very least. There's a bar that is set and it's a positive bar. You will always be somewhere above it. These kinds of reframes expressing this to women is so fucking powerful. And this, I think, is such a key part of the puzzle that so many guys are missing because for them, it's like you could be stuck at approach anxiety and then not taking action and then not getting any results unless you're using Tinder or something. And then you could be stuck at running out of things to say. So now you kind of solved approach anxiety for some part at least, but now you're taking action, but you just can't move the conversation. But another key concept I think a lot of guys are missing is the concept of leadership. Like when you were describing how you would go to the adjacent group, talk to them, introduce them to the other group.
Hmm.
All of when we were talking about DHVs, that is basically the DHV or the attraction trigger, if we want to call it that. I'm kind of seeing it the same way now in the
Yeah.
last few days because I was writing about it. So I guess my
Yeah.
understanding has changed. That is leadership. You merging, they are witnessing you leading a group, leading them to the other group, introducing everyone. That is the leadership aspect of attraction.
Yeah. And you're the orchestrator. You're the prize. You're the energy in room. You're the tribal leader. All these are subconsciously and maybe consciously sometimes hitting the girl's attraction switches. She's getting turned on by it. Does she want the quiet guy or the guy that's going, "Hey guys, come over here. We're talking about this," and then merging the sets? Oh, you should all meet. You know, there's a lot of times where I will say to a girl, so I'll go and open a girl, I'll get into conversation, and then but I might want to open with, or on my next question, "Hey, I really like the girl over there. And I was wondering what I should say to her. What do you think?" And then she's going to give you a terrible answer like, "Oh, just be yourself," or just offer to buy her a drink, or just tell her she's pretty, or she's got a nice handbag. And so I'll go, "Okay, I'll try that. But when I go over, I don't want to look like I'm on my own. So just when I wave at you, wave back." Right? So then she'll go, "Yeah, yeah, okay, cool, cool." And then so I'll go over. And also, what is that? That's showing that girl willingness to walk away, pre-selection, the guts to go and walk over to this girl, and it's an interesting dynamic. And now she's watching you chat to a girl for the first time, which you've just done to her. So her mind's like really interested in you now. So I go over and I might use my own opener, whatever that is, and yeah, me and my friend Alison over there. So I'll go up to the next one. Me and my friend Alison over there, and then I'll wave at that girl, and that girl now waves back at me while I'm in set with a new girl, which shows social proof. And then I'll use my opener, which might be a double bind question, you know, and then I'll say, okay, well, let's find out what my friend said. Come, follow me a minute. I want to introduce you to her. And then you can introduce or wave the other one over. Come over, come over. And now you have two girls. You're the prize. They don't know each other. And there's a jealousy plot line involved there. So that's a sort of situation you can be orchestrating if you're thinking a bit more detailed about this, a bit more advanced, many steps ahead, and trying to get all the attraction ticks, switches hit before you go into comfort and rapport and connection and commonality.
100%. DHV bingo. I think I need to fucking
DHV
make that.
bingo.
All those things you were saying, it's attraction triggers, DHV,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Again, I'm understanding it to be kind of the same thing now. All those little things you're doing. I want you guys
Little
to
nuances.
to get this in rather than like going straight up to her, flirting, whatever flirting means anyway. Being in control and leading the environment is just such a powerful thing. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just highlighting it.
Always be leading. I mean, most women, and I'm talking roughly 90%, want the guy to be the leader, the dominant in the situation. Even if they're being bratty about it or that they're shit testing you, they're just seeing if you're living up to being a leader of men. That's all they're testing for. They want the top lion, you know. They want the king of the pride, the
Here's a
tribal leader.
bombshell. Here's a bombshell, guys. Hey, if women were leading, we wouldn't need game. We wouldn't need to fucking be here listening to this right now, having this conversation.
Yeah.
Women will do game for us. That's not how it works. We have to be the fucking leaders. When I started out on this, I was a natural before, like I told you before. And you said you like doing supernatural game. That's your thing. So you can relate to this probably. Or this in particular probably might be a little different. When I started, I was just like, because I was a natural, I was getting results without ever comprehending that cold approach was actually a thing. Before I knew game, women sometimes came up to me. And then when I found out about the game, I was like, let me just go out more. And then the women will come up to me. And then I'll just like be in the corner, wait for a woman to come up to me. And it would happen. Maybe not every single night, but maybe once or twice in a single night here and there. And then, that's cool. But to be the one who eventually you just realize you can't just be doing that because women are not the leaders in a dating context. If women were the ones who were supposed to lead the interactions, approach us, then again, we wouldn't need to learn game. It would all be on them. So we have to be the ones who lead in pretty much every fucking sense.
That's why when I say to the first set, oh, tell me something cool to say to the girl over there that I like. She's like now thinking, the first thought is, wow, actually, talking to a stranger is quite hard. I've not really thought about it before in great detail. Oh, and this guy just came up and asked me an amazing question. Right? So I'm also it's you can go deep down the rabbit hole, but what I'm doing is all them things are over years of working stuff out that I can just quickly combine as quick as possible to get the strongest and best desired results. I'm a results driven, The how-to, the
Science.
result of it, and these are the common answers you'll normally get from it. Now go and do it.
Wonderful.
Start, stop, continue. What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? Because it's messing up my sets. And what should I continue to do because it's working for me?
Nice. What's coming up in terms of your boot camps?
We have
Tokyo was on there, I think.
Oh,
right?
yeah. So we've got Helsinki, which is the big one. It's our most popular one every year. So that's probably nearly sold out by now. We're going to Munich Germany. And Mystery is big in Germany. So when he drove there once, he didn't realize, and they were driving through, entering the city of Munich. There was or Germany, it might have been Berlin. There was huge posters of him for the pickup artist show coming in, and he was like, "Wow, I didn't know I'm famous here." So we're going back after like not going there for about 15 years. So
Actually, that's
people
kind
should
of
definitely
funny.
jump on him.
It reminds me when I went to Austria, they speak German for the Americans listening. Uh, I was going on my way to the Airbnb as soon as I landed in Vienna, and I would see posters of David Hasselhoff. I think there's just a bias that if your name is German or German sounding, it's just like we'll put a fucking poster of you on the wall, and
Right,
just
right.
like random German places. Eric von Markovic, David Hasselhoff.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
poster these guys everywhere.
Well, why haven't they done mine then? Beck. My surname's Beck, even though it's from England.
Why haven't
Robert
they
Beck.
done
Like Beck's
Donald
beer, the
Trump?
German beer. Yeah,
Donald Trump and Beckster.
exactly. I'll stick my own posters up just before, I walk into town, and then I'll just be like, oh, stand near it.
Preemptive social proof.
Yeah,
Self-inflicted preemptive social proof.
yeah, exactly.
What were the other cities?
Oh yeah, so we got Helsinki, Munich, Tokyo. We have London, but Mystery will be zooming in on that one. And Montreal, Canada.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So
You
good.
see,
Well,
we
Tokyo
have to do
too.
Montreal because we normally do Toronto, and I love Toronto. I love it. So you never know. There might be a sneaky Toronto extended tour date put in there as well. But Montreal, I've never been. I want to go.
What?
So no, I've
You've
never
never
been.
fucking been.
Only touched down as the plane. Do you want to hear a really crazy story?
Oh,
And I
is this the
even
plane crash one?
Oh, I told you already, didn't I? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Watch the other interview we did for that because it
What the
is
fuck's
long.
happening? Who's the cameraman? Where the fuck
No,
is this
oh,
panning off to?
is
There,
that better?
just saved you equipment loss right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh
It keeps flipping out on me, man.
Montreal is so fucking good. My belt, I'm not gonna stand up, I can't be bothered. But my belt, I wear it every fucking day ever since I went to Montreal, which was fucking years ago. I still got it. My belt is from Montreal. It's one of my favorite cities. It's so fucking
Oh,
good.
great. That's great.
Um,
So I should stay there for longer than a week then.
yeah, yeah. 1 week there's plenty to do in 1 week. Like 1 week in New York becomes annoying, but 1 week in Montreal, you're just like, this is just perfect.
Yeah, the
It's so
feedback I
good.
get from it, my friend just came back and he was just like, you got to do it. And then I was like, Mystery, let's do Montreal. And he's like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that. So I'm sure he's been before, but I mean, doing a boot camp in recent years now. Yes,
So
Montreal.
a few things about Montreal. It's funny. So it's Quebec. So if you go into a restaurant, they will talk to you in French, but you just say, you don't have to be polite or anything. You just say English, just say the word English, and they
Yeah,
will switch
yeah.
to English. Everyone speaks French and English, and sometimes walking around you'll see people, friends, and whatever. One speaks in English, the other replies in French, and they're having a bilingual conversation.
Yeah, that's
You'll
interesting.
see it. You'll fucking see it if you're there long enough. Another
So there's
thing,
a lot of bilingual girls out there, is there?
yes, very dirty.
Cunnilingual.
Yes, the bi girls can't fuck them up. I don't know. What am I saying? Uh, don't mess with those guys.
Well,
They're French.
also what we're doing as well, we put a post up on our Skool, Attraction Unleashed Skool, and you're on that, I assume.
Is that where you announced which city in
Yes,
the
you got
Eastern
it.
Hemisphere
Yeah,
to go
Asia
to?
and Oceania. So choose, and you can choose more than one. So we have an idea where to go. Mystery and I can go to your city. This camera is freaking out on me. Yeah, we'll go to your city and give suggestions. There's a box for other on there as well. So yeah, we want to know where to go, and we want to spread the love further afield, the game further afield, because we've got our old favorites like Helsinki, for example, Toronto, and London that I do. but we want to go other places. And one of our bucket lists is the future, Toronto, Tokyo. I want to go to Tokyo so badly.
You never been?
So, no, never
And
been. We've
okay,
never been.
let me finish Montreal first. So two things I'll say about Montreal, and then I'll move on to Tokyo. You got to go to a restaurant called Le Banquise, as in Banquise, and La in front of it. It's more kind of north from the old part of Montreal, old Montreal, basically. And it is like the suspected origin of poutine, which is the national food of Canada. You must have fucking tried it in
I've
Toronto,
had it. I
or
love it.
maybe
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
yeah, Toronto is kind of like more American sometimes, but yeah, it's my favorite fucking food. That has so many varieties of poutine, and it's one of the best I ever had. Actually, the best I had
Oh, good.
was also, yeah, it comes from Montreal, so it's
Yeah.
disputed like where exactly it comes from, but that's such a cool fucking place. The other one, a great date location, if it's still there, should be. It's very famous. Putting Edge. It's in a lot of cities all over the
Yeah, oh
country.
yeah, we've got some
Oh
there.
yeah, glow in the dark golf, and it's good. I got so many times where I've gone there, even with just female friends, and it just becomes a fucking photo shoot and goofing around. It's just so fucking good. Anyway,
I mean, the
Tokyo.
place in London, which was a big chain, they still have them, but I think they've lost popularity because it was called the Put in. So
Poutine.
that's not good at the moment. So
I would support it. Anyway, Tokyo is so good. I was there
yeah, but that's
last
the
year
different. What I mean is, it's not popular for the people that are watching what's
for
going on, right? Yeah.
for one side of
For
the
what?
political
For one
set.
side,
Yeah,
exactly.
whatever.
You're cutting off half your stream of people.
Yeah. Again, I'm just gonna
Not
put
that
every fucking
it's not in
flag.
my yeah.
Listen,
It's
guys.
not in my
I support North Korea and South Korea. I'm on both sides. Can't blame me. I'm on
I
the winning side. I don't know. I'm game global. I want a game in North
I
Korea.
support life. That's what life
Yeah.
and love.
I'm a
Life and love.
humanist. I don't
Yeah,
care
there you go.
about the idiots running the country. I just want to dictate the entire universe. That's just
I
how I see it.
support pickup artistry. That's what I support.
Yeah.
Because it
Regardless
changes the
of
world.
the political kind of anyway, Tokyo's
No,
so
no,
fucking
not
good.
pick up artistry. There's a difference.
Yes. Tokyo is so fucking good. I was actually considering, like, if you guys go to Tokyo, it's so fucking good. I only went one time to Japan, and that was last year. I'm now considering going every single fucking year. So I was like, I might as well just like fly in and just like hang out with you guys because I love that place so fucking much. Japan in general, it's just so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's Shinjuku, Harajuku. You'll see, but
Well, let's
there's
hook it up.
what surprised me about Tokyo is like a lot of guys would say Japanese women aren't attractive. And I dated a lot of Japanese women before and Koreans. But when you're like walking around Tokyo, just doing the most random things, you'll see in the Tokyo Metro, the Tokyo subway, whatever they call it there, train stations, and then the most random places, some of the most beautiful women you have ever seen. And you're like, that's surprising when other guys say, they're Japanese women aren't that great. But you're like, actually, all of these guys are fucking wrong. They're not seeing what I'm seeing. So
Yeah.
Tokyo is extremely fucking surprising. And the food is really fucking cheap. I'm in Lima and
And good,
sushi
I
is
heard.
more, yeah, everything's fucking good. I'm in Lima and sushi is more expensive in Peru than in fucking Japan. It makes no sense. It's just considered more of like a luxury item
Yeah.
outside of Japan, but in Japan, it's better and cheaper. And it's just so fucking good.
Are you in capital?
Lima, yeah.
Yeah, are you sorry, I mean center, and I'm guessing the center is that cat park and then everything around
Um, kind of. I'm in the geographical center, so it's weird
that.
because I'm in the geographical center, so like I could go north, south, east, west.
Yeah.
But the cat park, Parque Kennedy, that's Miraflores, and Miraflores is like the number one neighborhood in all of Lima, all of Peru. And then
Yeah.
number two and number three are like neighboring ones. I'm like in the middle between the historical center and like everywhere else. So like I can go in any direction. But it's a weird city because they call it the Gray City and they also call it the Octopus City because where it's surrounded by mountains and the ocean. Um, it has expanded since the 60s through the valleys between the hills and the mountains. And then the poor people who can't afford a house build their own, what they call conos or favela or whatever you may call it, on the hilltops, the mountainside. And then the people who can't afford a house buy property and develop at the lower parts. So when you look at a map, it's like the richer areas have like 8 tentacles spreading out, and then it's surrounded by poor places. So it's a very weird city, but yeah, Lima's crazy.
One of the routines I used to use there, but you can use it obviously anywhere as an opener anywhere, is near that cat park because there's so many cats walking around. Because we were going to all the bars and restaurants around there because it was really fun. I would say, are you a dog or a cat person? And because we're near a cat park, it's got context. So they'd answer, and then I'd say, well, because if you're a dog person, that means you want a lover that has selfless love for you, but will also protect you. And if you're a cat person, it means you're independent and you know exactly what you want. Does that ring true with you? It doesn't matter if it does or it doesn't, but they normally say yes. And then that's my opener because it has context, and then you can stack forward. So the dog or the cat opener, how simple. Very simple opener you can use anywhere. Because a woman will answer that question. You're talking about dogs and cats. They're going to answer the question. That's
Mm.
why I talk about shoes, as you have the shoe behind you. They're going to answer the question when you talk about shoes.
Yeah.
So the
Fashion is
shoe,
a good one to go for.
yeah, like the shoe one is, I was chatting to my friend Candy the other day, and uh, we were watching this documentary, and it was about women's shoes, and it said that women that have open toe shoes are more open-minded and friendly, but women that have closed toe shoes know exactly what they want and go straight to the point. Which are you?
I got a different version of that.
Go for it. You have froze though, so I don't know.
Fucking crashed on me there. What
Ah,
the fuck? It's my camera. It's
that
hard to get one. I just found
we
out though the
yeah.
Amazon ships to Peru for free from the USA, depending on like what it is. But I'll fix that soon.
Are we still live? Oh,
Yeah. Let me
yeah, yeah.
see. Let me see. Just make sure that everything's still good. Can you guys in the chat? Can you confirm that you can hear me and see me? Okay. It's like I don't know what's happening here. Just going crazy.
It's the power. They don't want to give us to give too much information away to break the matrix.
Ah, well, whatever. Anyway, what was I saying? I completely forgot. Never
You
mind.
said there was a routine that was similar to the cats and dogs routine: open toe shoe, closed toe shoes,
Oh
shoe
no,
routine.
no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have a very black and white opinion on this myself. So I say, no, I just don't like open toe shoes. So you disgust me. I don't say that. I don't that's just my mindset. And so I would never even consider approaching a woman with open toe shoes. Like most of the time, because like, no, that's just unhygienic. I don't know. Why would anyone think, let me design shoes and put fucking holes in them. For what reason? Why do you want to show your toes? It makes no sense.
That's a good bit to add to the routine, though. I'm gonna now add that
Yeah.
into the routine. You see?
ISIS rant routine.
Yeah, with maybe a bit of an egg. What's that between your toes? Oh, dirt, dirt.
Oh man,
Toe jam, as we call it in England.
nasty. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
nasty. But it shows, you know, playfulness, and that you're not going to put up with her shit, and that you'll say stuff in front of her, not be a yes man, a white knight.
Will you live up to my standards? Yeah, and stuff like that.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you know, like there's the silly qualifier, whereas can you cook? And then they go, yeah, and you go, can you do DIY? So you keep upping the stakes until they go no, and then you're like, oh,
Can you change a tire?
yeah, yeah. Can you
Can you
reverse
change a
park?
tire while I yell at you? Just add
Just
your
testing out the
expectations on
future.
it.
Yeah, I'll play some babies crying in the back seat from my phone on YouTube so that we can simulate our future together. See if we can put up with it.
Practical, what do you call it? Practical interviewing for
Yeah,
like
yeah. I'm
an
just gonna
application
qualify
for
you for
good.
a future wife. Are you wife material?
Let's do the mommy test, the future
Yeah,
mommy test.
exactly.
That is genius. We need to make something on this. Again,
Pattern
like
it.
mommy bingo or some shit. Okay, you passed this one. No, you fucked this one up, but we can work with that. It's just I'm guessing we are making this up right now. Like you gotta be creative with game.
You have
It's
to. No, you have to be able to think on your feet as well. That's why when Supernatural Game is, it's all the tried and tested knowledge that I've got from it, the structure, material, and I can deliver it. But the natural side of it is what the promoters that I would see running all these VIP clubs in London and some other places in the world. I did that for 10 years and I had the second biggest club promotion company. So I had hundreds of girls every night. I had 2 clubs a night sometimes. So I'd see the naturals in there and they'd be acting a bit different. You know, they'd be standing on tables, putting their arms out, you know, waiting for women to grab them, you know, spinning them around, picking them up. You can see these things in my videos. So I would say the natural side of it would be the confidence, congruency, calibration, conviction, and courage, which is all the experimental sides as well, because you have to experiment with these things and it gives you competence. And the competence is then comes back to the pickup artist. So be both. Don't just be one. You know, you can be the pickup artist and be very natural pulling it off. So supernatural game, semi-direct game. This is what I'm doing. It's like mixed Venusian arts. I'm trying to pull everything together. Even though I'm teaching 95% my own stuff, you know, there's 5% I've pulled in from the best in the world because I've met the best in the world over my years. I've traveled everywhere and I met, and you know, Mystery and I probably hang out the most of who we hang out with in the world. You know, he's my flatmate from 6 or more months of the year for 17 years. So, you know, I'm going to draw a lot of that into me, and he's going to draw a lot of me into him. And then the same as, you know, I knew loads of Ross Jeffries stuff when my mind was a sponge. So I've drawn that in. And, you know, like Ross wants to learn some of my dynamic openings as well. And then I want to learn more intricate patterns. So, you know, we're all helping each other. And that's what I miss about the old days when it was a community. Now it seems like a free-for-all. These new people don't know the pickup bro code rules of the game that they should be applying, you know. So they need to go back in time and watch the guys that really crafted this out at the beginning because they went through all the trial and errors, and the new guys aren't. They're just photocopies. And then you can go back to the old guys, but learn what the older guys are learning. Sorry, the older guys are teaching nowadays. So, you know,
Mm.
Mystery, Ross, myself, and so on, many other friends that have been in it for a while, they're the ones to go to, not the new breed. Unfortunately, they don't have enough knowledge or experience, and it's just fact, you know.
It's funny. It reminds me of a quote I saw recently. I can't remember exactly what it is, but vaguely the idea is that there are traditions in society in various cultures, and those traditions have just remained there for hundreds of years or thousands of years, however long, because originally it dealt with some kind of problem before. And now, like the people living now, we don't know what that problem necessarily was, but as soon as that tradition is taken away, the problem comes back. So actually, I think this came up in like a
Yeah,
discussion
that's
about
why history
immigration.
repeats itself. That's why
Yeah.
history repeats itself. Yeah, you're right.
Like there's a reason immigration didn't exist before in like the form it does. And so that's just like the context of where I think I saw it come from. But
Well,
you know,
there was
go
a
ahead.
golden period in game when, which was at the beginning. I mean, I was doing this 8 years before the book, The Game came out, right? So I had to learn a lot of this myself. And with that, I found that game was it was like the golden years of pickup, the real golden years. And then more people started jumping on the bandwagon who were like marketers and so on, and the game went down for people. It went down, and I think now the golden era is coming back because people are using other methods and not approaching as much. So now when you approach, it hits way more powerfully. So if you're ever going to do a boot camp or a residential, now's the time to do it. But uh, we if you can't make it, not everyone can make a boot camp. We have loads of different types of products, and obviously, if you say ICE's name as well, if you're buying them, you'll get something. You'll get a nice surprise. But yeah, we have be the social artist. Don't just be the pickup artist. Be the social artist, which is networking as well. So it's good for business, family, relationships, girlfriends, and actually meeting new people. And then you've got the pickup artist when you need the pickup artist. So we've got all different types of products for different the breakup plan for someone that's just broke up with a girl and they're going through it and they think one-itis is the something that they're never going to get over. Then we have the breakup plan for that as well. So we're getting you full circle. Relationships, breakup, social artist, pickup artist. You can get it all. So yeah, so we're trying to help people in all areas of life, health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. But I can see you having audio problems, and I do have to go now. But yeah, and if you
Okay, now it works, apparently. And I froze. What's going on? What? Damn it, what's happening?
been unleashed. Oh, I was just doing a
Oh, I'm
plug because
back.
you froze. You froze. I was doing a plug.
I'm back to
Uh,
stop you.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Um, Yeah, but I was just saying, if they want to see more infield stuff, they can check out the YouTube, the Beckster Lifestyle. And that's it. Just write Beckster in. It comes up everywhere. Mention Ice's name. And we'll do this again, I'm sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Any
I
last
would
question? Do you want to leave on or?
let's see if there's one more I can get from this. Okay, this one could make sense. Or yeah, let's stick with this one. How do you maintain an international social network when you are not in every city every night? How do you maintain the connections? So you're going on lots of boot camps, traveling, you're in your city 6 months a year. When do people cross over as well? Like if you're in New York and
Well,
another person is
put
there
it
that
this
may be
way.
somewhere else?
So when we've done a boot camp somewhere, I'll give you New York as an example. We trained people there, and some people end up they're meeting so many women, and this was how I got into club promotion. I ended up hosting whole nights where it was my night in the most famous club called China Whites and other clubs like that, celebrity clubs, because I had so much abundance of women coming with me that I needed somewhere to go with them. I can't take them to a normal bar. That's ridiculous. And then what am I doing? Everyone's there, then no one's got a drink, so I let the club give.
God damn it. Oh, you're muted now. What's going on?
Yeah, so when you have abundance in your life and so on, there's another ball game. So there's always another level you can get to, and also fifth level of the game, being famous or notable for something. It could be anything at all, like being the top boss in your firm or whatever, but being somebody that they can then say, oh, that's the tribal leader or that's the leader of men. Being famous for something. The bigger the fame, the more powerful it's going to hit. That's fifth level of game. So
Hmm.
there's actually 7 levels. There's a 0 and a -1. We won't get into it, but yeah, we went interesting. That was a very NLP version of a podcast. I liked it.
Damn. I'm gonna have to write that down. 7 levels of game, so I can make an article about that or something in the future. Beckster's seven or mystery in Beckster's levels of game. Yeah, I'll just throw in a little quick something and then we'll end it. So it's surprising. I love
Well, I'm sorry,
coincidences.
my story went off. Let me just finish.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
So other guys they're getting abundance in their life, so they need to know where to take large groups of women as well and their social circle, their entourage. So when we go back, like sometimes 6 months or a year later or a couple of years later, they're running the show in that city. They're running the clubs and they have abundance, or they're doing their own events, like their own house parties that are really plush, like on a Tuesday or Thursday nights, where every week they're getting like a pre-party before they go out, or a party, like cocktails and canapes, cameras and canapes. One guy had in Toronto, and it was really cool. And so setting up your own event, then you're notable for something. Hey, Bexter's event every Tuesday. The word gets around. Bring your friends. And so when we go back to these cities, we also reap the rewards of what they've done with their social circles and their pickup and so on. So it's great. And sometimes when we go back, they want to go to the next level. So they'll do another event because they can always learn. It's not one size fits all. If you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, or even a trainer, we can still take you to the next level. And we do that because everyone gets personalized help with us.
I just want to highlight there, that's very good. The idea that message game and social circle game are both capable of snowballing. They just get, when done right, they get bigger and bigger, like either way.
Hmm.
You're referring more to social circle game in this case, but
Yeah, yeah. I understand
snowballing
what
and
you're saying.
snowballing. And I love coincidences. So once you snowball a little and more, you get to when you're traveling, some random person you know is in the same city as you. There was a time, for example, I stayed with a guy in New York years ago, and the minute I got there, one of his friends was there, and then he found me years later in Las Vegas 2 years ago, came up to me. I don't really remember who he was, but he met me for like 10 seconds and said, "Oh, I met you in New York." And I was like, "Oh, where?" He was my friend. So I was like, "Oh shit." And in the same room, another guy came out of nowhere who I met before, and I did remember him. And I met him in London at like 2 years before that or something. So it's like all these, the more people you meet, the more coincidences are going to pop up where you just like someone is in the same city or even the same room as you and you didn't even know, and then they notice you, you notice them, something like that. Or if you're already connected easily on social media, for example, you're both aware that each other is there. So it is so underrated, the entire social circle game thing.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a bit similar to what you're saying as well. We keep bumping into people in the street, and they're like, "These kids are because of you. We're married because of you." To Mystery and I, right? And when we did a boot camp in Barcelona 9 years ago, well, one of our students, he did a boot camp with us, but he also said his mum's a dentist and a doctor, and we needed our teeth done at the time, for that Hollywood smile. And then so we had to, so we had to go and she sorted us out. She had a private practice, and she let us stay in a house next door. She's got a few houses, so next door, which is brilliant. And the son was really grateful. Anyway, a number of years later, the son had twins, a boy and a girl, right? with a lovely lady, and they're now like I think 3 years old or 4 years old, and we've been going back to that house every year and staying there, getting our teeth done, and we're like, she's like our Spanish family. They're like our Spanish family now. Literally, we
Mm.
help each other. We help them. They help us. It's brilliant. We all get along. She even made a door in her garden into the kitchen so we can open the door and go out and use the pool, and they can come in
One
every
that's
time.
tall enough for Eric.
Yeah, it's just as nearly tall enough. As
Cut
long as
it
he
out.
doesn't wear his big boots and his hat, it's just that he doesn't need to duck. And so we go there all the time. We chill out. It's brilliant. It's like, home from home. And we was only just there. Literally, we just come back and we spend loads of time there. And we spend loads of time with his mum, who is the dentist as well, listening to music and hanging out. And everyone's, like a big family now. And it was just really strange as the kids came round and I'd not met them before with the guy who trained with us. And so the mum was there. We're in the house 9 years later. These kids exist because of that boot camp. And it was just very surreal and awesome and loving that this happened because we were here 9 years ago teaching. And she now has grandchildren and she's looking after us and doing our teeth. And, loads of times she said, that's for free, don't worry. And we're like, no, no, we have to pay. And she's like, no, no, your family. And it's just very lovely, and we're trying to help each other. So that happens, things like that happen in various places, but that's a very, very strong one. And we have an extended family now out in Spain because of a boot camp where we help the son. And I think that the mum paid for it as well. The mum paid for him to come on the course. So it's just his perfect
Wow.
destiny. His perfect destiny fulfilled in a perfect infinite circle,
Mm.
infinite eight.
That is game. That is legacy. Absolutely amazing.
There we go.
Thanks for coming along. Any
Pleasure.
any final
Never,
words?
always a pleasure, never a chore, and I'm sure we'll do this again. And
Perfect.
my final words are, yeah, you have to. The game is essentially opening sets. So go out, open 10, 12 sets, couple of days, 4 days a week if you can. And there's no way you can't get better at this. But if you want instant feedback, come to us, attractionunleashed.com, and say ice, and we'll sort you out.
Perfect. Catch you guys on the other side. Drop a comment what your favorite part was, what country you're watching from, all that good stuff. Thanks.
Okay, it's been a pleasure. Take care. We'll speak soon. Are we out?
Here we go.